Hey everyone, we're live.
¿Ya?
Yeah. Hey
Oh.
everyone.
Nunca se dice en serio.
Sí, ya es en serio.
Tú
Hey
empezaste.
everyone.
How's everyone doing? Sí, porque me avisas siempre, así sea un segundo
Sí,
antes.
pero es que salió muy rápido el your live, entonces
Pero uno tiene que espichar un botón.
pues lo despiché antes, pero estaba
Ujú,
cargando.
ujú. Gracias, gracias por el heads up. Muy amable. How's everyone doing? Today, we're going to paint a paper bag that yesterday I didn't tell you, Danny.
What?
But when I went out, when you went to get the Christmas tree,
Yeah.
I went out to get
Pan de
pan de
bonos?
bonos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Adiviné.
I adivinated.
I adivinated.
So I got some pan de bonos and I had that for dinner. Pan de bono is the best.
Pastry, is it?
No, it's not a pastry. It's a bread. What do you call like bread product? Because pastry, I always think that they're sweet. So
Mm,
and pan de bonos are not sweet. Um, pan of bono, bread of bono. So it's for me, it's the
bakery?
yeah yeah. It's for in terms of bakery, it's pan de bono and pan de yuca are my top two, and I
Yeah.
can't really decide on which one is better. So I ate those, and they come in one of those really nice brown paper bags that if you get them hot, they're gonna have really nice grease stains all over. That is the sign of a really good, pan de uno, pan de yuca, if they're hot. So I'm gonna paint that. It has those. I don't even know what to call the edges. They're kind of como dirías tú el borde que tiene como triangulitos.
El
I don't
borde
even
que
know.
tiene triangulitos,
De
¿cómo?
las bolsas, de la bolsa de papel.
Oh, like
I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but it has little triangles. It's really nice. So it's perfect for painting form because they just, their shape just conforms to how, the object is turning in space. So it's super, super fun to paint. And it has like a really nice, very obvious, I guess, cast shadow. A lot of the shadow mass just bleeds into the cast shadow. So in many ways, it's just a very traditional, super harsh spotlight. This is our window lights, and this is on our very narrow dinner table that Danny had made, that
custom made, yeah.
custom made. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's actually pretty cool. It's pretty nice. So we're gonna. I said yesterday that we were gonna keep same variables. Oh, Danny,
What?
we should check. Maybe try to lower maybe a little bit your.
My sound? Or
Yeah,
I can just like go all the way back
yeah.
here.
But you look. I'm looking at you like off the corner of my eye, and you look ridiculous if you have to do that.
Well, but they don't have to
Yeah,
see me, so
I
they
I
don't
know, but
have to know that
I
I'm
know,
looking
but you're not
ridiculous.
comfortable.
No,
What
I
I mean is
am.
that you're not comfortable.
I am. I
But
am.
you could lower it a little bit and just
Okay. So,
and let's see, because yesterday we did have
a tiny bit
some
of echo.
yeah, a little bit of echo, and I have no idea why it happens because some days we don't have it, and some days we do, and we don't change anything, like literally anything. Our position is set, like the mics are always in the same place.
Yeah.
I would think that we speak at the same volume,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I have no idea. So maybe it's OBS doing something or YouTube. I have no idea. I really don't know what I'm saying. So anyways, but just let us know if you see like there's like faint echo. Like Danny's gonna try to lower hers a little bit.
No,
So
I already did. So,
okay, so if you can't hear Danny, just let us know.
also I'm gonna try to speak a little bit louder. Maybe that
Okay,
can help.
a little, yeah, because mine won't pick you up.
No, no,
So
no.
I don't think we ever have that problem. So
Yeah.
what I was thinking is that you could lower yours and then just speak up a little bit. Watch Danny screaming for 2 hours now, uh, and uh, and yeah, because it's important for both of our voices to always kind of sound the same. I always feel that if you're too low, I don't feel cool. Like when I rewatch the videos and you feel like off in the corner, I don't like that. Like you're
Well,
right
I'm
next to me,
fine with
so
it.
I
I
know, but
mean,
you're not. But I like that our voices are the same. So
I would love to be. I would love if yesterday when I
yeah.
said like that super weird.
Oh, that you had a fade,
Yeah, yeah,
like you
yeah.
were taking too long in
I
your
hope.
Oscar
Yeah,
speech, and
yeah,
just the music
yeah.
played, and it's like, yeah,
I hope
cut the
in that
mic,
moment
cut the mic, the
my volume
cane.
was super low.
Yeah, a huge cane comes in and just drags you off to the side,
Yeah.
off stage. Yeah. So, anyways, we said let's get back to the painting. We said yesterday that we were gonna do titanium white, bismuth yellow, quinacridone magenta, and we were gonna do cobalt teal. Now I'm gonna be super honest. For the workshop that I have next week, that's the palette that I'm gonna use. But I'm running out of cobalt teal. And if I run out of cobalt teal, I have no way of getting cobalt teal here in Colombia. There's like no place I can buy it. So I could order it, but it would never come on time. Like I need it for next week, so that's impossible. So, as an excuse, but a legitimate one, I'm gonna do what Liat suggested yesterday.
So and Leah is here.
Okay, so
So
thank you, Liat. Now the only thing is, I know it's a phthalo. I know it's a phthalo blue. It's Windsor blue. So Liat, if you can, because I didn't check it, but I looked in the back and it said it's a red shade. Windsor blue is red shade, and I think Danny has to step
yep,
out for
I'll be
like a
back
minute.
in like
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. So Liat, I know that you recommend the phthalo blue, and if you could do me a favor, just for the guys on chat, because I can't really look at the chat right now. Just look for what is Windsor blue. I think it's phthalo blue. I mean, it says red shade. Windsor blue says it has a red shade. I'm guessing phthalo can be greener, can have like a greener shade too. But I'm gonna use that, and it's gonna be cool because I've never used phthalo blue. Never. I've used. Let's see, what blues have I used? Cobalt teal. Now I've used cerulean, cobalt, ultramarine, and Prussian, and I think that's it. I don't think I've ever used anything else. Prussian, I never really liked. I think it was way out of control under my hands. So, I took that blue very quickly out of my palette. And cerulean, it's very nice, but I always found myself just using it when I thought I really needed like a light blue green. So, I don't know. I thought it was such a very specific, like case specific color that I don't know. I was like, if I'm never going to use it, why is it, part of my permanent palette? Because I thought about color in those terms. Like when I was trying to dissect my palette, and by my palette, I mean the palette that I had inherited from all my teachers and prior experiences, but I was trying to create my own palette. So when I was making all those reflections upon the colors that I had on my palette, I told myself I don't want a color that I'm going to use, very very sparsely. Is it? I think so. I want a color that I'm always going to use. If I have a blue, I want to always use that blue. I don't want to, use it in very specific kind of like determined circumstances. That to me is not a color that really has a place in a base palette. And what I was looking for, and I didn't know this at the time, but what I was looking for was a palette that could be part of my life for a very long time. And I think that reflection that took place many years ago is the one that it just created the necessary sort of scaffolding for me to understand what I was aiming, what I was trying to get to when I wanted to understand color. When I wanted to say, okay, what does color mean to me? How am I going to use color? What can I expect of color? How can color enhance the beliefs that I have, in painting? I mean, I don't think I understood those things at the time, but now looking back, I can tell that what I was always looking for was just something basic, something that was versatile enough that I could accommodate to almost every single, painting occurrence that I would have. So even though it was not going to be um, absolutely appropriate for every painting condition. Like my palette, my base palette of titanium white, yellow ochre, cad red, alizarin, ultramarine blue, and raw umber. I mean, it's not a palette that's great for let's say painting pastures, green pastures on a super light, bright blue sky summer day. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't. I can't paint that blue sky, and I can't paint those, really beautiful like let's say cadmium greens that I would be seeing if I was looking at nature in one of those bright summer days. So I can't. But it also reminded me that color. And I'm sorry if I'm talking too much instead of painting, but I'll get to painting in a second. But it reminded me that color is always an interpretation. Like what we do in paint is always interpretation. Always. I mean, if all we wanted, from color was a way to faithfully, really faithfully um, be able to depict nature like just as we see it, I think painting would be very, very boring. That's what people that are usually, hyper realist, photorealist, they try to do. They try to match, whatever they see in their reference with their paint. And we consider that, I think rationally, we consider that as trying to be, attempting to be faithful. So I don't believe in those things. I think that painting is wonderful and it just opens up, it just kind of breaks open, and there's fireworks and there's possibilities when you realize that we're just interpreting, the visual stimuli that's outside, and we pass it through our perception. We sort of ring it through our perception, and then we try to interpret it through paint. That's really what's going on. And when we realize that that's the equation that's taking part, then we know that there are as many possibilities as there are human beings willing to paint. That's the truth. It is so broad, it is so open, and it can work in so many ways, in ways that we can't even understand, really. Sometimes people in paint, through painting, they do stuff with color that, for me, I think I know a little bit about color. I would never consider myself like a really good colorist, but sometimes I see things that I'm like, oh, this has no right to work. Like the color, harmonies that are created, or dissonances at times, they are so strange to me that I'm like, no way. As an observer, I'm like, no way. Like this didn't even occupy like a space in my brain, like as something that could have worked. So I find that fascinating. I think that that's one of the most exciting things about painting. So let's get to painting. So I've never used this. I'm somewhat familiar now with my magenta and my yellow. I actually really like that yellow, and I'm with time I'm growing to respect and like the quinacridone also. I think that wouldn't really have a space, like a permanent space in my painting. I think having these three reds would be super redundant. If anything, that would take the place of alizarin, but just alizarin is so dark and rich and velvety that I don't know if I'm willing to give it up. So when I have these two, I'm always thinking like, that's the odd one out. Like the magenta is going to be the odd one out. But for sure, not as a permanent introduction to my palette, but as a visitor that I would be willing to have, anytime, it wants to come by my house, the bismuth yellow for sure. So let's see how phthalo behaves, and I'm gonna give you my very hot takes while I'm painting, just my reaction, because I'm gonna try to adjust to whatever this phthalo does. So it's gonna be nice to explore. Although I'm not really going to take super advantage of that phthalo blue today, because today we're painting like a super earthy painting. So I'm going to have to investigate the neutral side of what is a very, and I'm guessing this is saturated. Let me do something because I haven't done this. Danny's back, by the way.
Yeah.
So I was trying to talk a lot so we wouldn't feel Danny's absence. So let me see how. Okay, this is. I mean, it's super like electric. So that's nice. That's actually nice. That's not as intense as I thought it would be. Although it's very nice. Okay, that gives me an idea. It's actually not. I mean, it's less violet than an ultramarine for sure. Uh, what else? It almost feels like a darker, richer cobalt. Maybe I would say that. Maybe. Maybe because it kind of behaves like cobalt around here. Like there's some redness to it for sure. You can sense it, but it's never like a violet. So okay, so I have a sense. It's pretty. It's a pretty. You know how I call ultramarine my workhorse blue. Like there's no real um like weird things when you work with ultramarine blue. It just kind of is what it is, and it is what you expect. And there's nothing more and nothing less. It's like super elegant blue. I feel. I think this one is just it has a it packs a bit of a bigger punch, but nothing really like extraordinary, nothing weird. So I think it's gonna be fine if we work with this one. So let's get started. I'm gonna grab my where is it? Oh, thank you. My glasses that Danny brought my glasses. I hadn't changed my glasses for the longest time, and before our trip, we I got my glasses. I got new glasses, and I have to say my eyes are so much better. They rest a lot. I just don't wear them a lot, so and I should. They should be permanent glasses, but anyways. So I'm gonna grab my kind of filbert, which is soft-ish. I mean these. What are they called again? Ivory filberts, the rosemary ivory filberts. They're supposed to feel more like hog bristles, but it actually doesn't. It does feel softer. So let's try to get like a. Whoa! Look at that green. Oh yeah, that's way more intense than I thought. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That. Look at that green. Yep. Yep. Okay. So we're gonna go like yesterday. We're not really gonna do an underdrawing. Um, that blue is like super strong. Also. Wow.
Yeah, Callum was saying I use Windsor blue and it's super saturated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just noticed because it was eating up. I had some yellow there, and I just saw that green, and woof. And I'm gonna have to grab more of that magenta in a little bit, but it's a little too much. So I need something a little earthier for now. I'm not super interested in the exact shape. I just need this gesture. Oh, by the way, there's a derby today that I'm gonna miss happily because I love you guys. We love you guys, and I've always been willing to sacrifice football for the sake of painting. I mean, well, when we're recording and there's a match, Danny will always be super kind, and she just puts it on my computer. So I kind of off the corner of my eye while I'm painting, I'll just watch the match and I'll just listen to it.
Yeah, or when we're recording, we can change the times of the recordings.
Yeah, but we've
So
never.
you
But
can.
what happens usually is that like this one, they play like in an hour, I think, or a little over an hour. That would be. No, but we've never changed the recording for a football match. I don't think so.
No, maybe for a
No,
Colombian match,
I'm
I
trying.
think.
Like that would be the
Like that
only
we
one,
tried
or
to
or like a
start the.
semifinal, like a
Yeah,
yeah,
but.
like a Champions League semifinal or something. Because finals now are on Saturdays, if I'm not
Yeah, because I
mistaken.
think we tried to record earlier
Mm-hmm.
so we could so see
We could.
the all the sorry we
Woo!
could see I'm
Woo!
like yesterday
No more
again.
drinking at lunch. I've told you it's never going to be good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that maybe if I'm not mistaken we moved the video a little bit early so we could see all the match from the start.
I forget. I forget. Maybe or
The
we had to stop. Right, 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 right.
Yeah.
Oh, the one that we were playing against what was the last one? Brazil maybe? No, the one after that.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was starting like at 6 or 5:30, and we finished like at 5. You were getting nervous. I remember that.
Yeah.
I'm not hitting my drawing, but that's totally fine. So I'm gonna try to accommodate some of this drawing to light. So let's see with the massive light. So let's see if we can do that. Uh, but I'm thinking that I need more paint. Oh, Danny.
Yep.
Um,
You'll need the box with the
yeah,
oils. Okay, so
yeah, but it's like you have to
no.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Me?
No, this one, and the red. You could put it here if you want. Thank you. Gracias, gracias. Mi Danielita.
So let me see if maybe there are some questions here that we can start asking to you. So wish list 011
Nice.
saying, is bismuth yellow anything like Indian yellow in color,
Oh, very different.
transparency?
No, very, very different. Yeah, it's very different. I'd say it's between a lemon yellow. I mean, lemon yellows are so weird. Sometimes they're super, super light. Other times you can kind of see the yellow hue. I mean, sometimes lemon yellows look more like a Naples yellow. So it's just it's such a weird thing. Yellow pigments, I feel. But this would be, if you could think of a cad yellow lemon light, I think that's how I would describe it. I think that's a good way of describing it. So imagine that.
Um,
Wow, this is super tough to cancel. Like the colors are so saturated that I'm having like a really tough time just making those tertiaries and canceling them out. But we'll see. I mean, it's gonna have a bit more saturation than I thought it should have, or than I thought. I thought I was gonna be capable of really pushing the wow, look at that blue, of really pushing the sort of earthy part of the palette, which is none, but you know, if you mix enough of the three colors, you're eventually going to find the space. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that.
yeah.
We'll give it a shot.
Scores was saying, care with phthalo, high tinting strength.
Yeah,
So yeah, they were warning me.
I'm experiencing that like super quickly. So, but I like having those feelings like from the start. You know, like people can tell you, like you guys know this. People can tell you those things, but until you feel it under the brush, it's like that's a totally different experience.
Ja was saying
What's the name?
Hotachi
Okay, yeah.
was saying, do you have experience with Indanthron Blue?
Oh
What are
no.
your thoughts?
No. Like I said, my palette is so basic that um I am adventurous at times with some of my colors, but not nearly enough as I probably should be. But what is the color again, Danny?
Indanthron. So
Oh, I've never.
Indina.
Could you show
Yeah.
me like super quickly like
Wait.
a window with
Yep.
what that looks like?
Wait. Um. There you go.
Let me see. Okay. That's
I don't know.
okay. Inden Indenthrone?
No.
Indenthrone.
Indanthron
Wow.
Blue.
I don't know. It looks super rich. Wow. Yeah. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Sometimes it looks like an ultramarine, and sometimes it looks more like a cobalt, like a light cobalt. So I have no idea. I mean, companies are so weird. Like color companies are just so strange at times that you want to be able to trust them, but geez, I mean, they make it difficult. It's almost like they're interpreting color as much as we are. But you would want companies to be very consistent. Like ideally, you know, in terms of hue, not in terms of how it, you know, feels under the brush, but in terms of hue, ideally, you would want companies to produce colors like the same way, right? Like, that a cat red feels like a cat red always. But yeah, it's kind of strange at times.
Yeah, Liad was saying,
Jesus, I barely touched that blue with the tip of my brush. It's crazy.
I was gonna talk about that. Liad was saying, Nicolas, when using phthalo, just add small amounts. It tints everything.
Small. What are you talking? It's like nothing.
And Callum said, I have to use a tiny amount of Windsor Blue when I use it. Also, Karl Kopinski suggested to me to mix it with Ivory Black. And Invictus Art said, if you mix it with black, it will really resemble Prussian blue.
Okay, the one color that I took out of my palette. So yeah, we're gonna try. We're gonna make the best of this experience. But yeah, it's a little strange. I feel. Let me put the background because I think I'm totally missing my drawing. So I'm not hitting my drawing, which is fine. I'm not. I don't care about that. But I want to at least make. So this is yellower. I want to at least make some adjustments while I go, or at least recognize what I have to do as I'm painting. Fuck. It goes green so quickly. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm always like, this is exactly what I always fear. And especially, again, in my hands, like under my control. I mean, I kind of squirm when I refer to my control because I'm not, I mean, I always feel that my paintings are just about to collapse. So, by the way, this is what's nice about having like a really fibery, hog bristle brush. But what you get is that, I don't know. I mean, with time, they just lose their bristles, which is fine. Sometimes I leave them in the painting, but sometimes it's annoying. Let me see.
Marcelo Peralta was asking if you're going to distort the bag.
That would be kind of nice. I mean, I wouldn't know how to push the gesture of the back. Like, I'm not really thinking about that. I'm thinking more that I'm just losing my drawing quite a bit. So, for now, let me try to get the character of the bag just right, just coming at us, which is very important. And after that, we'll see, because I don't think I have my proportions right with the shapes. So let me battle with that for like some 20 minutes, and we'll see after that where we are, like at that point. But for now, I'm just doing like a super abstract. Let me squint and see if with the shadow mask I can get a little bit closer.
Ananya was saying, hi, Nick and Danny.
Hey,
How many paintings can you finish in a day?
I don't know. We'll find out on New Year's
No.
when we do
Well,
our infamous,
you can do a lot of paintings a day.
infamous,
I can't finish one painting a day.
infamous live New Year's Day stream. I don't know, but what does that mean? Finishing a painting? Because can I call this finished? So I don't know. No, I mean, but we can try to be. We can try to average, our past experiences out a little bit. I guess that could give us an educated guess. So if I worked for 24 hours, maybe 3 hours per painting, 8. Would you say 8 is fair?
For you, yeah, or maybe more.
No. I mean, but again, it not trying to finish something quickly, but trying to paint it and feel satisfied
Yeah.
with the painting.
For me, like a quarter of a painting. So, Alejandro Morales says, Nicolas, try using a tiny, tiny corner of the palette knife to mix the blue. That will prevent it from getting into the bristle of the brush.
Oh, that sounds like an amazing tip. I can't mix color that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say an
Yeah.
amazing tip, but not a one that you
No,
will follow.
and Danny,
so-
yeah, Danny knows me. I can't like teach my brain how to mix like that. I much rather just try to have like a lighter touch while I'm painting, which is fine. Like I'm gonna feel like it's like I'm totally not under control, but I'm fine. I'm kind of fine with that feeling. It's just that I when I did this, I was like, oh, it's okay. You know, when I added white. But as soon as I added that green, oh my god, like that yellow. I'm sorry, it just made that green. I was like, woo, we're in for a tough ride today.
AJ was saying,
Hey, AJ.
"Hey AJ." They were saying, "Please tell us more about this live infamous stream of New Year, a paint-a-thon."
Oh, we were joking about that, but
Yeah, I think it's not gonna happen.
yeah, no, Danny is very adamant about it not happening. She is cutting my wings, clipping
No, no,
my
no,
wings.
no, because
I want to fly.
I no,
Afraid I'm gonna fly too close to the sun.
no, you're putting everything on me, and you
It's
couldn't
okay.
do it. Well, no, I mean
Okay,
you
that was
can do it,
very
but it's
super
New
judgy,
Year.
Danny.
No, no,
Super
no.
judgy.
No, I was gonna say it's New
No, no,
Year,
no.
and
I know, I
it's
know.
like family time, so maybe it's not the best day
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to do
Honestly, it's
it.
because we spend Christmas with my family.
Yeah.
Well, but you spend it with your family too.
Yeah, well,
Um,
like half and half.
yeah, and so we always say, well, New Year's, because usually someone Fer are not here. We can spend New Year's with your family.
Yeah, well,
So
not only because Samu and Fer are not here, but because if I spend Christmas with your family, then we can like balance it out
I know,
by.
I know. I'm just, and this is no, no, no. I hope you didn't take that in the wrong way.
No,
I'm just
no, of
saying,
course I didn't.
like they are also, you know, part of our equation when we have to figure things out. So,
Yeah, well, what I was trying to say is that if they're like if it's not a problem if they're with
oh no,
my
no, no. I
family.
know,
That's
I
what I
know.
was
I'm just
trying to
saying,
say.
like
So
it's easier if we are the two of us,
yeah, yeah,
you know, for us to figure things out. So,
yeah.
um, so yeah, so you know, we go and spend it with Danny's family. So we're not gonna sacrifice that to make a stream. That is, you know, I always I joke around, but the reason I joke around is because I know that that's it's not gonna happen. So
Gabriel Pozo dice New Year stream con Nico cantando como Chayanne
uy,
y la Dani como Ariana.
mm,
Me gustó el la Dani.
yo soy como yo creo que estoy más cerca a Chayanne que tú a Ariana.
No.
Yo
¿Qué?
creo. Pues no en mi ser, en que se parezcan, tú podrías hacer cosplay, un buen cosplay de Arianita.
Por la estatura.
Yo, o
Pero
sea,
no.
mi, uy, el nivel de latineidad de Chayanne yo no lo tengo, no, tristemente no lo tengo.
No, y la voz tampoco, mi amor.
No, la voz llegó, a algo llegó.
Pues a algo. No a
Sí,
Chayanne. Ni yo a Ariana.
pues también es que Chayanne, así que sea mi,
No, pero no llegas. O sea, no te
no
gusta,
sé,
pero igual no
de
llegas.
pronto,
No, no creo.
de pronto.
Mm, em,
Voy a poner el alma en el ruedo.
mm, mal chiste.
Mm, gracias.
Ujú. Eh, espera, estaba buscando una
Aquí estoy
pregunta.
esperando.
Sí, espere. Es que estaban haciendo una pregunta antes
Sí,
que la había subrayado
sí.
y se me perdió.
Mm,
Eh, yeah, they were asking, is there a regular time of the shop? I really want to own one of your paintings. I always loving it.
not really, not really. I mean, when we were doing our edited videos, yeah, we usually would post around 7:30 in the morning Eastern time, like Colombian time, which is close to Eastern time. There's many months that we share the Eastern time. But now it's as soon as we finish, like maybe 20 minutes after we finish the live
Yeah.
stream, we'll put it up.
Yep.
But thank you so much, and hopefully, I mean, you don't have to like today's painting, but hopefully it'll come out, it'll work out. So thank you for your interest.
Mm, Rohit was asking, was saying, "Hey, I'm obsessed with Van Dyke paintings,
Oh,
but I
who
couldn't
isn't? I'm sorry. That was a little too
but,
excited.
but I couldn't understand
I'm a
or
big fan.
wait, let me
What?
finish.
What are
but
you
I
trying to
couldn't
say, Danny?
but I couldn't understand or identify what attracted me to that style. Any
Okay.
advice on how I can work my way to find that?"
Oh, wow. Wow. But I don't. First of all, I wouldn't. I mean, I understand when you say style because he very much painted in a kind of Flemish, like Belgian style of painting in the Baroque. But I would try not to, put it all on style. Like try to understand it all as mainly style, because many times it's also how it makes you feel. How something makes you feel. So that is usually a mixture of a ton of variables, a ton of variables. So yeah, you have to try to investigate within yourself what that means. Like, how do you describe those paintings to yourself? Um, very difficult. And why not? And for example, you know where you could start? Why Van Dyke and not Rubens? Like that's a perfect way to start because they are, you know, they're not the same painter, um, but obviously Rubens's DNA is very much present in Van Dyke's painting. So why did you pick one before the other? What is it that makes them different to you? And I think maybe that's going to start shining a light on why you prefer one before the other. The two of them being very, very close. I think, as huge as Rubens was, I mean, Rubens is one of the biggest genius in like painting history. That's like undeniable, like unquestionable. I think Van Dyck was actually a better painter. So yeah, you have to, but you have to come up with the reasons why you feel that for yourself. We don't have to share those same reasons. So yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
I'm dying here with these colors. Well, with these colors and my drawing, I think my drawing is way, way off. But I'm going to try to feel like I'm not off.
um,
You know what it is before I'm sorry to interrupt you, Danny.
again, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
always.
was joking.
Always, always. What's kind of also bugging me that I think like I have this feeling that I want to paint this massive light a little bit bigger than what I have here, but if I paint it bigger, then I'll have no space for the cast shadow, and if I don't have a space for the cast shadow, I won't have this place to put this really nice light here. And that's what's bugging me ultimately. So I think I'm very hesitant about making it the right proportion because I would have to make a smaller bag. And I think that's what's happening. So let me see if I adjust the proportions to how they should be, which I mean, and if I feel better about myself, painting. I'm sorry, Danny, go ahead.
No, no. Uh,
Okay,
Bashri
don't.
Bashria was asking, "Is your palette the same as yesterday?"
Oh, no, no. So when we started, no. So now we have access to a bunch of color, a ton of range that we didn't have yesterday. I mean, and if you look at the two blues, they can't be any more different. That's a very reddish blue, and this, which sounds weird, right? You can't say there's a blue red. I mean, you can say that there's a blue, there's a red, uh, there's redness in that blue, but you should really say it's a violet red because you can't jump the violet. I mean, a blue has to either be a blue green or a blue violet, but it really can't be blue red. That doesn't make sense. That's like calling something. Could you imagine if I said, oh, this is like a green orange? What? What is a green orange? Like, how does that work? That doesn't really work. So yeah. But you can tell how much greener the cobalt teal is, and of course how much lighter. Even though it's not super opaque, cobalt teal tends to be very tricky because you would think this color is crazy, crazy opaque, and it isn't. So it doesn't affect your other mixes as much as you think it would just by looking at the color. And this is like ultramarine and cobalt on steroids. Maybe it's a very strange color. Yeah, very strange. I feel, but we're trying to get there. We're trying desperately, I would say, to get there. We'll see how we do. It's probably going to take me a little bit longer than I thought. I thought, maybe I can make the like the end of the game, maybe. But I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So we're going to have to sacrifice a wonderful derby for the sake of a paper bag and learning about
Now,
phthalo blue.
now you're sounding like me yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, you were
No, you
like
know what? I'm thinking about.
going and
Yeah, yeah. I'm
going
thinking
and
about the
going
color. I'm
nowhere.
thinking about the color while I was saying that.
Yeah. Um, Gabriel Talbot
Okay.
was saying, "Hi, Danny and Nicolas.
Hey.
How many hours do you think it's too much time to put in a painting?" Hmm.
Oh, that's. I mean, I don't know.
I think there's never too much
Yeah. I
time.
mean, there's.
I was gonna say. I mean,
Yeah, or too little. Like a
yeah,
painting does. Like a painting needs
what it
a paint
needs, and that's
exactly
all. I
whatever
mean,
whatever
yeah,
it needs. There's some Antonio Lopez paintings that took years to make.
yeah,
That they took years to make. That's just how it is. That's the nature of those paintings. So yeah, I wouldn't argue with how I wouldn't understand time as a validating factor for a painting. I
yeah,
think time is just um, something that happens parallel to the act of painting, and it will be whatever it will be.
yeah,
But you are the one that makes that decision based on what your intent is, on what the painting is telling you, on when you feel at peace with yourself and with the painting. So yeah, I don't think time. I mean, you can make a painting be about time. I mean, there's as a contemporary sort of endeavor, but yeah, but I don't think it actually affects the
no,
nature of painting in any way. It is what it is. It's just
yeah,
it takes as long as it should take.
yeah. I was also thinking about. I know it's a sculpture, but
Yeah, sure.
Rodin
Yeah.
with the Gates of Hell. If I'm not wrong, I remember he spent like maybe 35 years.
Oh, I don't know
Yeah,
specifically about that. You caught me kind of off guard
yeah.
with that.
Let me Google, but I'm pretty sure of it. So, I mean, for a lot of people, that would be like
Crazy.
a
Yeah.
crazy amount of time, but
Yeah.
it
and
was
and
what
it
it
can
was
also
for
be
him.
and
So,
it can also be super arbitrary. Like for example, there is an Ang painting that it's called the source. I feel
yeah,
the source, les filets, or something like that.
right.
It's just a woman with a jug of water, I guess. Yeah, that one. Look how much that took.
Wait. So,
Oh, okay.
the
So
one I
first
was
go, yeah,
saying,
first
yeah,
go with yours.
yeah, I was right. It took it says nearly 37 years.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
Well, and it's not at all his like, you know, his like the grandest of his works. I would never
Yeah.
feel that
Well,
that's.
it's amazing.
It is amazing, but it's not like. No, it is great. I've seen it, but I don't know. I don't know. I think there's better. I mean, as sculptures, I think there's better works than that one
Yeah, but I think
because
it's
those are gates.
yeah, but
Like,
I think it's cool that like he took the time he needed to
oh yeah, he.
like find a closure to that
Oh, and he,
sculpture. So,
and this is also true. Like he could afford that time to do that because many times we can say, yeah, take as long as you need, and for example, for me, it happens a lot with Antonio Lopez that I go like, yeah, but how do you live? How does life go parallel to that to that act of saying, no, I need to work one more year, or however longer on this work. Like, now I think nowadays it's just so strange to try and rationalize those acts, because you know school, like, the money that you have to pay for your children's school
Yeah.
is, and I'm talking from my experience, obviously, but it's always there. That doesn't wait for a painting to be finished, and your rent doesn't wait,
Yeah.
and the money that you have to pay for your loan, your car loan, or your home loan, or your education loan, that doesn't wait. You can't call the bank and say, you know what, painting is coming along, I just need a couple more years, don't worry. Does that mean you're going to sell it? Nope, not at all. That just means that I'm going to think it's finished. Like, it's so hard to try and understand how life kind of has its place in that equation, because unfortunately life is just goes at a such a faster pace, and it's demanding in so many more variables, I'd say, than just thinking about finishing a work of art, which is super complex in itself. But you know if you compare that to everything else that you have to do in life, like, I don't know, it's just impossible. It almost feels impossible to make them meet, to make those two meet.
Yeah. So the painting you were talking about,
Yeah.
the source,
Yeah.
it says it took. Uh, it says he was brewing. Is it
Brewing.
brewing it
Okay, so
for
like a stew.
36 years
Yeah.
too?
and
So
and be honest, does it look like a painting that took 36 years to paint?
the thing is that I don't know
Well, look at
how a
any other
painting.
Ankh painting. Like, look at any other Ankh painting, and be like, is this that much different than every other painting he did?
mm, hmm.
Well, I would say, just a spoiler, I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say no, no way. Like, just feels like one of his paintings. That's it. So it is so strange what makes, a painter just want to keep going and
Yeah.
going and
And
going
for
and
that
going for
long,
that
I mean,
long.
yeah.
Like, feeling like, no, it's not done. And no, it's not done as in, like, is it? Like, are you working on it, or do you just put it to the side, and then you kind of every year you just kind of go back to it and maybe work on a couple of things, and then
Yeah, because also,
forget about it, and then, because how does one determine what a year's worth of painting feels like,
yeah,
or
and they're saying like 36 years, but maybe like he worked on the painting and then he forgot about the painting for 10 years
yeah, he had
and
to put
then
it to the
worked
side,
a
or
little and then 20 years passed
right.
and then he tried to paint again. So, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it's
right. So,
very strange. It's super arbitrary. So yeah, time is not at all a determining factor for a painting.
mm,
Sometimes it's a requirement, but I would go as far as saying that in itself, that, for example, doesn't even mean that you have to take a long time. You're just required to paint for as long as it takes.
yeah.
Whatever that is, 2 hours or 20 years.
So, Tia was asking, what surface are you painting on now? Looks like oil paper. And Gabriel Pozo answered it's a moleskin paper, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tia says, I cannot find moleskin painting paper on Amazon.
Oh, you
They
don't?
are
Yeah.
notebooks. So maybe you can explain a little bit because they
Yeah.
are papers that come in a sketchbook. So it's
Yeah.
not
So
like
it's not like a,
a,
a specific painting paper, Tia. So there's nothing about the paper. It's not like the Arches paper that's primed specifically for painting. No, no, no. This is just paper. It's
in
like,
notebooks. Yeah. So it's not like single pages of paper.
oh no, I actually have to I I rip the paper. I rip the sketchbook apart. I take it all apart, and then I cut the page of the large sketchbook in half, and that's what I use. I think it's just a very nice size, in the sense that this is our palette, and this paper occupies almost the same space as our palette, so it makes for nice kind of symmetric window on a video. But yeah, it's just, artist sketchbook. So if you buy the artist sketchbook from Moleskine, that's the paper you're going to get, and I don't do anything to it. It's just a raw piece of paper. So that's all it is. All there's to it.
Em, Gabriel Pozo dice, Nicolás, cuando estabas reaprendiendo sobre el color,
Sí.
¿qué es lo que te decía que ya entiendes un pigmento en específico?
Uf, complicado, ¿no? Yo creo que el uso, o sea, entender que a través de ese color logré comunicar o llegar a lo que quería. Al final esa es como la única manera de juzgar un color. Y no es un color, ¿no? Es como la, la incidencia que tiene ese color sobre los otros de la paleta, el rol que juega dentro de todas las relaciones que uno puede generar en la paleta. Entonces, hay un poco tonón de variables que se tienen que uno tiene que respetar como pintor cuando dice que cuando uno está intentando deducir que está extrayendo todo lo que uno puede de un color. Eh, porque no es simplemente poner un amarillo y decir, listo, ya sé lo que hace ese amarillo. No, pues es lo que hace ese amarillo con todos los otros colores. Entonces la paleta siempre se tiene que sentir como un ente integral. Nunca es como la reunión de una individualidad de pigmentos, sino es la relación y el efecto que tiene cada uno de esos pigmentos sobre el todo, como el carácter que adquiere esa paleta cuando uno entiende que hay un efecto sobre cada uno de esos componentes en la paleta cuando uno trata de llegar a configurar relaciones dentro de la paleta. Sí, entonces el uso, pero el uso que también lo acerca a uno a la intención que uno tenía, ¿no? Entonces saber que uno pudo utilizar algo para lo que uno quería decir.
Um, so, yeah,
Ujú.
was asking, what camera mount do you use for your overhead setup?
So we have I'm sorry, Ja. It's just that I can't hit my drawing. I'm making it so much bigger than it should be. Ah, you know what it is, Danny? That I just like I'd be mad at myself if the bag
Mhm.
was smaller. Like it has to be so much smaller for me to fit the cast shadow, and it just pisses me off that it has to be, or at least I'm thinking it has to be, because it doesn't match up.
And
Like,
if you try to move everything a little bit up, you think you can fit it with the
oh,
size you
like
want?
that, and start there. I guess I wanted,
Maybe.
yeah, maybe I wanted just a tiny bit of atmosphere in the top also, that it could kind of dissolve. But let me see. Maybe we can kind of fudge with it a little bit and just lie and try to make it fit. What was the question again? I'm sorry, because I'm just like frustrated with the.
What camera mount
Oh, right,
do
right,
you
right, right.
use for your
So we
overhead?
have I forget the brand of the
Oh, let me check. Cause I don't.
it's like
Wait, wait.
Zote Zote Zito Zotex Zotrap Zotrap Zetrap Zo con Z. So Zome tripod. It's a nice kind of metal tripod. It has a ball. What is it called?
Ball?
Yeah. Because at the top it has like a ball joint, but it's not called a ball joint. Oh my god, my English. I'm forgetting what it's called. A ball head. I'm sorry, ball head. So it has a ball head, but we actually don't attach the ball head to the tripod, because we bought an extensor arm, which is fine. It doesn't really extend that much. I think
Yeah.
the tripod and the weight, even though we put some weight on the tripod, not the bag that it comes with, but just like just the regular like school bag with a bunch of books inside. We hang that on the tripod just to give it stability. but the arm isn't long enough. But if I was thinking of a longer arm, I don't know if it would hold the weight of the camera,
Yeah.
to be honest. So because we have a pretty sturdy arm, I forget what this extension is, what brand it is, but it was I got it probably at Amazon or B&H. And it works well. It's not super super sturdy, I'm afraid, but it works well. It does its job, but you can totally sense the limits like it has. You can't really push it past beyond its limits. So I think right now it works really well, and we can actually push the arm um, like as far out as it lets,
Yeah.
as the arm would go, and we can have a pretty sturdy-ish tripod.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's like crazy sturdy.
Yeah. And
So
also because we have to put the tripod in some chairs.
oh yeah,
So
we also have to, because our we have a fixed focal lens. Our lens is like a 55 millimeter. We have to
it has to be super
we can't
far.
just zoom it. We're not using a zoom lens, and this was by choice, by the way. But so we physically have to prop it up, so it's on top of like we have like bar stools, as
Yeah.
kind of like as chairs, like high. What are they called? High top chairs? No,
Ice
that's not what
tools.
they're
Yeah.
called. Like stools, yeah,
Yeah.
like bar stools. So that's what we use to prop the tripod up. So, again, very makeshift, very but good stuff.
Yeah.
But we have to, I mean, I would never say this that it's like terrible, like it's a bad product, or it's good stuff, but we have to also kind of fudge with it a little bit to find it to make it work for what we have. So,
Rajita was
hey
saying,
Rajita.
"Hey, Danny and Nicolas, question.
Yes.
So I just downloaded the Audible for the Perennial Philosophy.
Perennial philosophy. Oh, cool.
Is it better to read it rather than listen to it? Because I
Oh,
catch
that's
myself getting distracted when
that's a
listening.
debate. I can't do Audible books.
No, I think
No.
they're fun. I mean, sometimes it's easier.
No, I can't.
No?
No. I as a reader, which I'm not like a super avid reader, but I've read a
Yeah.
bunch in my life. Um I understand my own pace. I
Yeah.
understand like my own voice.
Yeah, no, I get you
I
because
I underline. I like my books. It'd be horrible for me to lend my books to other people
yeah,
because I
you
write
write over
all
them.
of
Yeah.
everything. I underline everything.
Yeah.
So people hate that when you lend them a book that's already kind of like edited in that way.
Well,
Like
but
people
it's
don't want to.
yours.
Yeah.
So
But I never. I'm not saying I don't like to lend my books. I'm just saying that I always feel like they're my books when I read them.
no,
So
well, I think it's cool when people underline things in the book because you can like sort of get into their minds, like
right.
what catch their attention or
Right.
like interest. So I think
But
it's cool.
but for example, in a academic institution, it's terrible because you're like, I have to read the book and make my own mind up.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
know what moved you. I need to know what I'm gonna be moved by.
Yeah,
And
and also,
sometimes seeing those things kind of conditions you into
yeah, I
thinking
was gonna
like,
say that.
oh, this is like super important. Like I have to pay attention to this also.
Yeah,
When maybe you see something that somebody else underlined and you're like, what? What the hell? Like, why did they like this
yeah,
moment, and why did they think it was important? So you start becoming like super judgy outside the book. So yeah, but no, I can't do it. I really can't. I have to turn a page. I'm actually like a big fan. I mean, and let's not. I wouldn't want this to be like a discussion about paper or about waste,
yeah,
because yeah, if you really believe in that, then yeah, sure, every book that's out there, as wonderful as it may be, it's like a dead tree. So yeah, I mean, I can't argue with any of that, but I'm just saying that as a reader, I appreciate the physical object. That's just how I am. So, and I need it. I actually need it. I need to pass the page. I need to underline it. I need to reread something.
yeah.
I don't need to be spoken to again.
I think it's a different like
Oh,
experience
I don't. Totally
because it's like listening to a podcast,
right. Well,
and the
yes,
other one, you like you're saying you're giving the rhythm to
right,
the
right.
information that you're getting. So yeah,
Right. I think both of them, I mean, if it's, I think they've done studies about this. If it's about extracting knowledge from a book, I think they've noticed that it's the same. It's exactly the same. Like people are going to have the same comprehension. Like if it's a story, you're gonna be able to like know exactly what happened. It doesn't mean that the person that is reading the physical book is able to retain more knowledge than the one that's listening to it. So in terms of information, I think they've already established, well, as much as we can from I don't know how many years we've had audiobooks, maybe what, 20 years, something like that,
maybe.
maybe 25. Well, before they were like in tape, books on tape. Yeah, so maybe 35 years if you're counting like cassettes. Um so so yeah, I think it's just a matter of what you feel comfortable with. But I like books. I like the physical book, and if anything, you just donate it if you don't want to keep it because it occupies space. You can donate it later to a public library or to a school or to a friend, or you can give it to a friend that doesn't mind that you completely, you know, in my case, I just don't care for the object of the book. Like I'll open the ¿cómo se dice el
El lomo del libro.
el lomo? Mm.
Mm,
Like I'll crack open my book, so
like the spine,
the spine
maybe.
of the book just breaks open. But that's just how I read, because I'll every time if I have a paperback, or even if it's a hardback, even if the cover is a hardbook cover, I'll try to like turn the page like around,
Yeah, I don't do
just so
that.
yeah, just so that I can always have it on one hand. Like I don't like to have the two pages facing pages. I always like one page and then just a single page while I'm reading. So
Yeah, no, I'm a different
so
type of
I'll
reader.
destroy the books that I'm reading.
Yeah, but I will say if Rajita is saying that they're getting distracted while listening,
Right.
maybe
Maybe that's
they
a
should give
sign.
it a try to, yeah, to reading it instead of listening to it. So
I know some people are super like I'm actually reading it. Like that's reading. That falls into the reading category. And I don't know. I wouldn't get into that debate. That's just, it's just a word. But um I think that what what kind of you're saying, Danny, like if you're noticing that you're missing stuff, um, and I would say there's books that are very tough to
yeah,
read, like to listen to in that sense. It's almost like listening to a lecture, like a philosophy lecture, that you're like, whoa, I have to take notes
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Like sometimes you feel like you have to be a little more active in those experiences. And if usually you are the sort of reader or consumer of books or media that likes to be doing something else while listening to an audiobook, maybe there are books that are not really that
That
don't lend
friendly.
themselves, yeah, that don't
Yeah.
lend themselves to doing that, like to multitasking while you're listening. So,
Alejandro Morales said, I recently found out there's a paper made out of stone. Have you tried
mm,
painting out in it,
yeah,
Nicolas or Danny?
I've tried it once. I haven't tried it many times, but yeah, it's a very sort of plasticky
Did
paper.
I give you a
No, no,
sketchbook?
no. But it was different.
No, I think the one that you can
Right
write
on in
in
the
the water,
shower.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's made of
Well,
stone, if
yeah.
I'm not
I
wrong.
wouldn't be able to tell you if it was, but look for it. It's the one I painted on. It was gray colored also.
Wait,
I remember that. Yeah, it's very strange. Feels very very strange under the kind of like under the brush. Very particular.
mm,
So while Danny's looking for that, I'll say, yeah. Now I'm getting to the point uh, where I'm kind of over mixing enough that I am feeling the possibilities that are there in terms of making it earthier. I wouldn't say neutral, really, but at least earthier. And I'm feeling a little more comfortable. Uh, and to be honest, my drawing bothers me more than what I can do with the color. So yeah, I kind of had to come to terms with that to say, what am I struggling with? Am I struggling with my color? Because I always feel like I can get to a place where I can generate good enough relationships that where the color just doesn't become like problematic. But the drawing was like, it was driving me insane. So I knew I had to adjust. And there are still things that I'm totally missing, I feel. But as long as I can get some of the character of this bag, I'm going to feel okay. Because I just didn't. It's such a weird thing. Like, I don't want to paint the bag. It's not about just making a painting with a bag and that's it. Like, I trust my very, let's call them, I don't know. Sometimes I feel I do things out of whim, but I'd say, whim, sometimes it's just another way to describe like instinct. And maybe there could be no reason for your instinct, no reason for wanting to do something. But I think it's so hard to recognize instinct. It's not like we can rationally recognize instinct. That is why it's called instinct. It's just super automatic. And I've noticed that me as a painter, sometimes I have a sense of what I have to do if I have to, for a painting to be completely kind of balanced and balanced. But by balance, I mean like, this is proportionately structured and it's just, all the shapes and the relationships are kind of match what I'm looking at. But then when I'm doing a painting, I have like a completely different emotion in the sense that I'm like, I don't want to paint it that small. Like, I don't care. I don't care if that's what proportion is telling me to do. That's what like the canons of proportion are telling me to do. When I look at my painting, and I'm somebody who pays a ton of attention to the painting, when I look at the painting, I'm like, that's not the image that I want to do. And I start to be very picky and almost like picky without really making sense. And I'll give you an example why. Like, I wanted my bag at least to be this big, like the shape of light on my bag. I want it to be that big. So in many ways, when I see the shape of light, and I tell myself, oh, it has to be smaller in order for the shadow to make sense, to be proportionate with that shape of light, I tell myself, well, I want both now. I'm like, I want my eight and I want my cake and I want to eat it too. It's like, I want the long shadow, which I know it's not going to feel as long if I change my proportions, but I want that long shadow because I want to see if I can paint some of that light that's on the bottom. I'm trying to see how it would work with the light here. I don't know if I want it to compete, but anyways, I want to see if I could get to the light on the bottom because like the ridges of the bag that are, this kind of jagged triangle shaped ridges of the bag, those are so beautiful. So that's the whole painting if you ask me. So the cast shadow of those little triangles, like soft with that, like, the sharpness here against the softness of that cast shadow, it's so nice that I want that, but I also want a bigger shape. So you could argue, well, you should have painted it bigger, but no, I know myself. You give me a bigger size and I want it bigger. And so it never, like, the things that I want to do with my painting, they never seem to accommodate well to to my substrate, to the proportions that I pick. It's so strange. And that's why I say it's like caprice. Like, it is super ignorant on my part. It's super just, it almost feels like a tantrum. Like, I want that shape of light and I want this thing of shadow working too. And the struggle that I have with myself is trying to make all of those things work because they're not supposed to work. They're not. If you want them to work, then everything has to be like, everything has to be perfectly balanced. So that is my hell, I think, because that's the suffering that suffering, right? But the suffering that I go through every time I paint, when my body is telling me, oh, push that size. You don't want to paint that size. Like you don't want to paint that small in that area that is garnering so much of your interest. You don't want to paint it that small in your painting. And I always listen to that. That's like a devil voice in my head. And I know it makes everything fall apart, but I'm kind of okay with everything falling apart because in the end, in this particular case, it's like a bag. Who cares? Who knows what a crumpled bag looks like? Nobody's ever going to look at a crumpled bag and say, "Well, that's not quite right." It's a crumpled piece of paper. It's supposed to be chaotic and weird and go into like, strange different directions. So I don't know. I'm thinking out loud. Again, I'm sort of venting, thinking out loud. That's my um my thought process while I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this painting. I hope it makes sense. And every time I'm struggling with something, I always try to, voice it out in the sense that I try to like hear myself talk about it to see if it makes sense. And to make the struggling honest, it's something that, it is there. I know that it's going to be there. I know that it's tough. And instead of me kind of sort of shielding it behind the fact that I'm not hitting my drawing and just, pushing myself so that I could get my drawing right, I'd much rather just share it with you guys and say, okay, here's what I'm struggling with, and here are the reasons why I'm struggling with it. I think that that's far more valuable than just saying, oh, my drawing's not right. If everything was about your drawing not being right, then honestly, it would be the easiest, like problems would be so easy to solve. So easy to solve. I mean, if everything that there was to something like feeling wrong was just to say, are your angles or your distances right? If that's all there's to it, then oh my God, I wish that was what was toughest about painting, or I wish that was the way out of every problem in painting, but it's not it. That's clearly not it. So anyway, that was my rant. Thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
No, they're saying they like hearing your thought process. So, and Connell was saying that maybe the issue has to do with the angle of the bag. So they were suggesting that maybe if you could rotate a little to the left anti-clockwise,
Oh God.
you would have room and will give a little more space for the light, but a lot of overpainting. They're saying
Yeah,
so.
no, but yeah, I'm already. I'm not gonna say I'm all because I'm already committed. Then that's not like a good choice. Like and I'm super grateful for that suggestion. Um, no, I kind of like deep down, I kind of know what I'm trying to go for. It's just that it's a struggle to get there. I feel, but yeah, it's. I mean, it's supposed to feel tough. That's just how it is, I guess. And if I start cleaning up some areas, I think I'm gonna start to feel like it's not as terrible as I feel it is. I'm always like super harsh, so we'll see. We'll see. Let's give it an hour. Let's check in an hour and see if it's terrible. If it is terrible, then you guys were right.
Víctor Barbero dice, buenas noches desde España.
Buenas noches,
Ni-
Víctor.
Nico, ¿para cuándo vas a volver a hacer formato grande?
Hemos estado hablando de eso y vamos a hacer unas pinturas. Bueno, voy a hacer como pasos de bebé otra vez, porque es que siento que necesito casi que volver a aprender a caminar haciendo pinturas como más, no voy a decir ni más complejas, ni más comprometidas, ni utilizar como adjetivos de esos, porque tampoco siento que lo que haya estado haciendo durante todo este tiempo, ya como 3 años de pronto, sí estoy pensando en el trabajo que había hecho con las bitácoras, los cuadernos de apuntes. Em, entonces no quiero como definirlo en mi cabeza como algo más comprometido o complejo o algo que me haga sentir que lo que ha estado haciendo es menor, pero sí quiero volver a sentir ese encuentro recurrente con algo, llamémoslo así más bien, como esa experiencia recurrente con una sola imagen. Eso se me hace súper chévere, súper bonito. Y quiero tener esa experiencia. Entonces, creo que como esa es la experiencia que quisiera volver a sentir por ahora, o sea, o comenzar por ahí al menos, eh, creo que lo que voy a hacer es, voy a hacer unas imágenes más grandes que esta, sí, pero quiero es como hacerlas en 2 o 3 sesiones, o sea, 2 o 3 capas de pintura, para que también empiece a entender cómo retomo una imagen. Ese para mí es como, es una cosa súper importante, incluso más importante que la dimensión en este momento. Entonces, quiero como volver a tener esa sensación de decir, bueno, voy a retomar una imagen. ¿Cuál es la reflexión que estoy haciendo cuando la retomo? ¿Qué son esas cosas que empiezan a pasar por la cabeza cuando vuelvo a, a tratar de reconocer, reconfigurar una imagen? Eso quiero sentirlo. Entonces, vamos a ver, vamos a ir paso a paso porque sí me toca otra vez ir lento para que tenga como un poco de sentido y que no se sienta que estoy forzando cosas solo por hacerlas. Yo creo que sería una tontería si todo este tiempo se han estado haciendo como una serie de preguntas una autorreflexión ha acompañado todo el proceso de la pintura para después simplemente decir, no, ahora como que eso ya pasó, fue súper rápido y lo que tengo que hacer es pinturas grandes y ya. Pero yo creo que va a ser una inevitabilidad el pasar a hacer obras otra vez de un formato un poco mayor y, y además tengo que tratar de entender cómo se acomoda eso como esa filosofía que iba acompañando también este proyecto, que es la filosofía de la accesibilidad como en términos de mercado, pues porque sí, o sea, tengo que ser súper honesto también conmigo mismo y con el trabajo cuando digo, bueno, pero si voy a estar pintando por un mes una pintura más grande, uff, o sea, digamos que el reto de decir sigue siendo un mercado de $250 es complejo porque yo siempre entendí que claro, teníamos que encontrar una solución a ese problema de accesibilidad, de que las obras de arte pues se entendieran como, o sea, la pintura en particular que se sintiera como algo que cualquiera puede, pues bueno, cualquiera es un decir, ¿no? Pero que por lo menos en términos relativos a lo que es el mercado que conocemos o que ya hemos casi que mm, interiorizado y que sabemos que tiene como un carácter y que normalmente maneja unos precios que pueden ser justos, pero muchas veces inflados o que hay sobreprecio constantemente, pues tenía que, digamos que el tratar de pelear contra eso tenía que ser acompañado de una comercialización de una obra que tuviera sentido. Entonces, hacer obras a la prima diarias, que fueran igual pinturas súper comprometidas, pues se acomoda a eso, o sea, todo ese engranaje tenía que tener sentido. Entonces, esa reflexión va a ser súper difícil, bonita, pero súper difícil de decir, bueno, y si trabajamos grande, ¿qué pasa con ese grande? O sea, si uno le va a subir el precio a esa pintura, ¿cuánto le sube? ¿A cuánto le sube? ¿Y cuánto puede empezar a costar esa pintura? ¿Y cuándo se deja de sentir como un precio justo? ¿Y cuándo uno simplemente está volviendo a esos precios que eran como similares a los de un mercado que de pronto uno estaba cuestionando con este primer ejercicio? Entonces hay resto de variables chiquitas si uno de verdad quiere hacer como el ejercicio completo y no divorciar la pintura como de las otras líneas de cuestionamiento que se han estado haciendo durante el proyecto y darse cuenta que pues la, para hacerlo bien, y por bien me refiero a algo como genuino y que corresponda como a la filosofía que, pues nosotros no es que la promovamos, a nadie le estamos diciendo qué hacer ni con sus precios, ni con las cosas que compra o deja de comprar, no, no, no. Pero por lo menos en nuestro proceso, mm, saber que qué tipo de cosas estarían traicionando o qué tipo de cosas irían como en contravía. Entonces es difícil, por eso digo que es de pronto un poco más complejo que decir, ay, voy a hacer una pintura grande. Y no quiero decir que con la pregunta, ¿cómo se llama la persona? Qué pena, Dani.
Eh, Víctor Barbero.
Sí, Víctor, gracias. Y con eso no quiero decir que Víctor estuviera insinuando eso, pero sí creo que para nosotros va a ser difícil y ojalá pues podamos llegar como a una respuesta que nos satisfaga a ambos y que cumpla con lo que necesitamos, con cumplir con también nuestras obligaciones como personas, miembros de familia, con todo. Entonces, vamos a ver cómo nos va con eso. Pero sí, es complejo. Lo que sigue es súper complejo. Es muy fácil como entender el ejercicio como algo insular y decir, esto se hizo de una manera súper abstracta, pero ahora volvamos como al mundo de antes, donde estos eran los precios, donde esto era la norma, pero pues de pronto, si uno entiende el ejercicio que uno estaba haciendo como un ejercicio que pues llega a resignificar un montón de cosas y hacerlo a uno cuestionar también un montón de cosas, pues toca, sí, toca de pronto demorarse un poquito más en ver cuál va a ser ese paso a seguir. Ojalá esa respuesta, de pronto estuvo larguísima esa
Sí.
respuesta.
No,
¿Sí?
sí, pues sí
De
estuvo.
pronto estuvo larguísima y Dani, sí.
Sí, no, igual es que, pues,
¿Qué piensas? ¿Qué dices tú?
no, pues es que yo creo que muchas veces tú piensas en el precio y el
Ujú.
precio y el precio, y yo creo que no, o sea, si se cambian los precios porque se cambian los formatos y los tiempos de trabajo, no creo que se esté traicionando nada porque nuestro proyecto no es importante solamente en cuanto a los precios. O
Pero
sea, yo creo
es
que igual vamos a seguir haciendo un contenido que es,
accesible, sí.
sí, y además es compartir, o sea, es un ritmo de trabajo distinto porque estamos trabajando a la par que compartimos ese proceso de trabajo con la gente.
Sí,
Que, pues, lo que tú decías antes, o sea, la gente que nos ha apoyado y ha comprado las pinturas hace posible que el proyecto esté, pero el proyecto como tal no es solamente para las personas que han comprado, sino para todo el resto que puede compartir estos momentos.
sí.
Entonces, yo creo que pensar que cambiar el precio traiciona lo que estamos haciendo.
Sí, traicionar de pronto es una palabra muy
Sí,
fuerte
por
para
eso,
eso.
y lo hemos conversado tú y yo en otros momentos, pero yo creo que uno no puede solamente centrarse en el precio
Sí,
cuando el precio que paga la gente es la manera de apoyarnos a seguir haciendo de esto nuestra vida, porque también si te vas a demorar, digamos, un mes haciendo una pintura y
sí,
se vende por $250,
sí,
pues no podríamos vivir de esto, porque pues con $250 al mes no podríamos pagar las cosas que necesitamos para vivir.
mm.
Entonces yo por eso no demonizaría un precio.
Satanizaría. Yo sé que parece demonize, debería traducirse, pero creo
Ah,
que es
bueno.
como satanizar,
Bueno,
sí.
yo no le pondría como una, no sé, como un tabú al precio, porque también siento que nuestro proyecto, desde el principio lo hablamos que iba a ser un proyecto a 2 años,
Sí,
y este año que empieza, o sea, el 2022, es un paso nuevo, un capítulo nuevo. Entonces, si bien seguimos con algunas cosas de ese capítulo, no todas tienen que ser igual porque también tenemos que acomodarlo a lo que va a ser nuestro ritmo de trabajo.
sí.
Entonces, sí, yo no satanizaría.
O sea,
Sí, bueno,
confía en mí, creo que tengo
sí,
la
sí, sí,
razón,
no, no, no
pero
importa. Yo no satanizaría el precio porque siento que ese no es como el centro de nuestro proyecto. Pero bueno.
no, 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 gracias. Tú sabes que todas las decisiones son entre los dos.
Em, Víctor dice, me encanta la respuesta. Yo iba por el desafío de un formato grande, que llevas bastante tiempo en un formato pequeño, mediano, y creo que el cuerpo te pida un cambio.
Sí, seguro, seguro. No más, no más físicamente, digamos, las dolencias, ¿no? Yo acá
Sí.
geriátrico.
No, pero yo sí creo que también es
Sí,
cierto.
uy,
O sea,
sí, qué
el
duro.
dolor que tienes del hombro es por el formato pequeño, también por la manera en la que tenemos que grabar
Sí.
para mostrar las pinturas y todo el proceso de las pinturas. Entonces, si se graba en un formato grande, sería un ángulo distinto para pintar. La fuerza que haces como que se reparte en todo el brazo
¡Ah!
y no es solo en
La
la muñeca
fuerza.
y el hombro descolgado. Entonces, yo sí creo que todo eso también hace parte de una decisión de querer cambiar el formato.
Sí, seguro, seguro.
Jesús de la Osa dice,
Salí
¿pintarías?
regañado.
No,
No, estoy molestando.
no, tú
A ver,
siempre que
Jesús.
yo tengo voz seria, crees que estoy regañando, pero
No, no,
no,
no siempre.
no siempre.
No.
Jesús dice, ¿pintarías alguna de esas sesiones en formato grande en vivo?
Sí, esa es la
Y
idea. Yo
sí,
no sé si podamos hacer toda la pintura, o sea, es que eso ya es otro, porque es que la verdad queremos hacer muchas cosas al tiempo. Estamos siendo súper ambiciosos, creo, Dani, también, y seguramente como lo fuimos al principio con este proyecto, va a haber, tendremos como que acomodarnos a la realidad de
claro,
los
igual es
tiempos.
que siempre va a ser una cosa lo que uno dice y otra cosa a la que uno se enfrenta una vez ya empieza a
Sí,
hacerlo.
sí, sí.
Entonces,
Entonces, yo creo
pero
que nos daremos cuenta cuando ya empecemos, nos daremos cuenta de si era como absurdo querer hacer algunas pinturas diarias como las que estamos haciendo, también unas pinturas de mayor formato y manejar como todo ese proceso y además hacer el ejercicio que queremos hacer tú y yo. Entonces, pues lo chévere es que tenemos de dónde, o sea, tenemos varias cosas como para entusiasmarnos
sí,
y ahora pues lo complejo va a ser decir, bueno, encontremos un balance a ver si podemos hacer de todo.
sí.
Pero esa es la intención.
Pero sí, Jesús, claro, la idea sí sería compartirlo porque pues a eso es a lo que yo iba cuando decía que siento que ese es como el eje de nuestro proyecto, que es como compartir con ustedes y como el vínculo que hemos creado con ustedes y pues la gracia sería poder seguirles compartiendo todo lo que se
Todo,
va produciendo.
todo.
Gracias.
Y habla, sí. Gracias, Colombia. Muchas gracias,
Em,
mis Baupés. Dime. Que no el Baupés,
que
pero el Viva de
nada.
Baupés, divino.
Em, espera, tenía una pregunta por acá.
Claro, la que quieras.
Mm, so, Bashria was
Oh,
saying,
what is that? Is that I think that's the name that you pronounce weird every time, Danny.
no,
Go
it's
for it.
Bashria.
What? That sounded different from the first time.
No,
How is it
Bashria.
spelled? How is it spelled?
Beshria. Bashria.
Yeah, Besharia.
Yeah, I'm good. Maybe
Yeah, you're
you're.
good. No, no, no. Maybe it's me. It's my
Yeah.
hearing. Bad hearing now.
So, Bashria was saying, maybe slightly a big question. What led you to what led you guys to start our painted lives? Any specific event that might have triggered a light bulb moment?
Oh,
Well, I would say maybe the sketchbook process you had before.
yeah.
Like that influenced the want of like smaller paintings?
Yeah, in terms of dimensions, I would say yes. In terms of the scope of what we were trying to do, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But it was also like um hope for independence. I feel that
Yeah.
that's kind of like at the core of what we were doing. Um for me it was super important to I think that not somebody, something that has always accompanied any single aspect of art that I have been lucky enough to do in my life. Every single one of those moments has been accompanied by uncertainty, by a feeling of uncertainty, like thinking, "Oh, this job is temporary. Oh, they can, kick me out, and throw me out at any moment." Even in at the university, like I would have to sign a contract every 6 months. Like that's all every one of us that were not part of the permanent faculty, we had to sign contracts for every semester. Every new semester, you have to sign a contract, which meant that if there was a new director coming in and if they had, for example, let's say a different idea of what should be done with painting, then that was it. Your job was done because maybe they thought painting was not super necessary, or maybe they thought the way you were teaching painting, maybe it was satisfactory to the director that was there first, prior to that person, but maybe now, you know, you just don't fit into the plans of the faculty's direction, and they could just, I mean, I saw it done many semesters, many times, just saying, no, we wanted something else. We wanted like another teacher. And I mean, you always want to think that those decisions are done based on what's best for the institution and for the student. And sure, but the reality is that people are affected all the time, and not just people, like people's families. Like if you have a family and you depend on that job, like, it's crazy. It's crazy, that feeling that you get, when you feel like, oh my god, this could end like at any point, and it's not dependent on you. Like it has nothing to do with you having, let's say, good reviews. It's not dependent on how good of a teacher you are. It's also super super dependent on how you accommodate to the philosophy that's sometimes ever changing in an institution. So when I was part of an institution, as well as, when I was part of different galleries, there was always that feeling that, wow, this could end at any moment. Like everything could just kind of collapse at every moment. And that happened to me. That happened to me in terms of the gallery and the director. The relationship that I have, yeah, I'm going to say I have, because I still love him dearly, that I have with the director that I owe much of my career to. But he at one point, just out of complete whim, just closed his gallery up. He was just like, I'm too tired. And he just closed his gallery. And he was like the most generous person I've ever encountered in my life, I feel. And he was so, such a believer in everything that I did, and just complete trust in me. And I hope I answered always to his trust with like the best work that I could do at the time. But when he closed, I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Like, what, like, where does that leave me? Like, I'm not saying that if he had like a decision to do in his life, like he should have thought of me in any way. No, because, come on, like, I'm sure that he had his own things to deal with, his own personal things to deal with, that don't necessarily have to do with me. But obviously, I was going to be affected by those decisions. And when I saw that, I became super anxious. And I've told you guys that after that, I think I've shared the story, but I worked with somebody who became like super close to me also. And we were very, very good friends for many years. I would say maybe 8 years that we had that relationship, and probably even more than that, because we probably met before that. But it was the same thing. It was that relationship, and he kind of became the like an art dealer for my work. And oof, that relationship changed like on a dime. Like, I mean, you could sense that the relationship was ending, but I think that that's kind of when I met you, Danny. And I think you noticed that finished super
Yeah,
quickly.
and
It was very sad
I get to met
also.
him.
Yeah, 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 you met him too.
Yeah,
But it was super sad. You knew that I was conflicted by all of it,
yeah,
because I think in many many ways I still think of him as a friend, like as a very very dear friend. But it's just that all the things that were happening in the business part of painting, of this, because this is a business too. If you want to, live off of it, it is a business. They were like slowly driving us apart, and that was so like painful to realize that like when you depend entirely on somebody. And I would say that in both of these cases, my life depended entirely on them, because I know that, school, we always like tend to romanticize academic institutions, and they're great, they're amazing, but I mean, far from perfect, far from perfect. And in my case, I was very, very critical of those institutions, and I've often spoken about how I think not only here in Colombia, but universally, teachers are just incredibly underpaid. So I'm super, super, and I'll always be like, nobody will ever be able to tell me the contrary, but I'll always be incredibly critical of that. And sometimes, um, people that defend like how badly teachers are paid are always like, well, you're not doing it for the money, you're doing it for the kids and education. And it's always like um, you always have to be willing to make a big sacrifice for those things. And honestly, to hell with that. That's a terrible thing to say. Like, no, people should be paid well and handsomely if you're doing a great job as an educator. I think that that's one of the most important jobs in this planet, for it to be so horribly underpaid. Um, so yeah, it was a lot of things happening at the same time that made, me in particular, and this is, I guess, outside me, meeting Danny, that Danny sort of became like a catalyst for a lot of the things that we did, because I don't think I would have had the strength or the courage to do anything by myself. I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have just kept teaching and just renounced to that idea that everything should feel more fair and more balanced, and just say, things are what they are, and if they're going to underpay for my job, then sure, that's just the way it is, and I'm just always going to be a part of this machinery. And while the faculty and the university is just getting richer and richer and richer, there's always going to be less teachers, less less people in charge of doing the actual job, and we're always going to be underpaid. And I probably would have been kind of lowered my head, because I know myself and I have that personality. I probably would have lowered my head and said, okay, just keep going. And I would have just kind of, shut up and done my job as best as I could. But I think I met Danny, and I don't know. It just kind of gives you a reason to say, you know what, fuck it. And it's super weird and tough to say fuck it, because I wasn't only affecting, what was our growing relationship with Danny, but also my kids. I have like enormous responsibility with my kids. And I'm not saying that when you have kids, then everything just becomes about them, but they are an enormous part of your life. And if you are responsible for anything that has to do with their well-being, then that responsibility is just, becomes paramount. And and I knew, and instead of feeling like, oh my god, I don't have the necessary strength to do this, because I'm kind of playing with my, you're gambling with your children's future. um I thought, well, if I am considering this, I thought about it this way. I thought about it like, if I'm considering this, and I know that, something is, as important as my children's lives can be affected by this, and I'm considering it, it's because I really need it. It's because my life really, really needs it. Like, if you are thinking about something that can change dramatically everything about your life, and you realize that not only your life changes, but also the life of the people that you love changes, and can change, terribly, um, you realize that you are probably like at the edge of doing something that you need to do. That it takes, again, an enormous amount of courage, but your body, your mind is telling you, you need this, you need to do this. You're not going to be happy if you just keep going and going and going. And yeah, so it was, I know we talk about it as a project, and I know we talk about it as, this thing that eventually we had to ground into something that could be explained to people, and that could make sense financially, and that, we would understand, that we had the ability to understand how much work and how much time we had to devote to it. I get it. Like that's just how, you know, that's what materializing a project means. But I think deep down it was so much more important than that. Like deep down it was a matter of just changing a ton of things that just didn't seem fair, that didn't seem just for many years. It was not about recovering, not about empowering oneself, and not about saying, yeah, I have control over my life. Because what control did I have? We had no idea how, if we were going to do well, if people were going to receive what we were, you know, proposing to them. We didn't know if one person that was going to pay attention or 10,000, or it didn't, like, we had no idea what to expect. So you can't feel empowered and you can't feel confident about something that you're completely blind to, that you have no idea, you know, how things are going to fall, you know, how the chips are going to fall. So I don't know if it was about empowerment, but it was about saying, you know what, if I want to do, if I fuck up, like if I mess up in my life, I want it to be because I messed up, not because other people decided that my life was going to fuck up. Like not because they were going to tell me, you know what, we don't like the way you teach, so goodbye. Or, you know what, I can't sell your paintings anymore, so goodbye. Like that feeling of granting all that power to somebody else is just horrifying. It really is horrifying. So I'm pretty sure some of you guys relate to this feeling, because I think it's a feeling that is very much so part of what we do. Unfortunately, I'm going to say that this is quite unfortunate, because it's not something that we should be proud of. That the fact that we have the strength to just navigate through all that crap, I don't think that that's cool. I really don't. I think that it should be way different than this. There should be certainties, and not certainties that make us complacent, but certainties that give us peace of mind. And I didn't feel those. Like those, I've always felt that those were robbed from me. Like, or that I just, you know, very quietly and slowly throughout the years just became, you know, I don't know, like my voice was just drowned, and I just didn't, you know, I just wasn't like this person that could have, I think it just goes beyond saying that I could have control over my life. I think it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's almost like if my life was going to have this dramatic shift, I want it to be because it was my choice, not because somebody else decided that for me. So I hope that makes sense. You know, we don't often speak about the project in those terms, but I've thought about it for a long time, and I think that what's made us work really hard, like the fact that there's a driving force behind it, is you know, is what makes us kind of believe in what we were doing. And it wasn't just about saying, oh, we want to have a YouTube channel. Like fuck, like who gives a fuck about a YouTube channel? Like honestly, like those things, who cares? Nobody cares about that, and nobody should care about any of those things. So it wasn't really about that. It was bigger than that, I feel. And it was just a lot of years in my life that I feel that I gave them to other people. Like when it worked, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. But only when things just didn't work, you realized, oh my God, I have nothing. Like I depended on them so much and for so long that I have no idea how to be my own person anymore. Like I have no idea how to be, you know, behave like an artist anymore, because I just completely depended on them. So yeah. And nowadays I know that a lot of people say, well, to gain that independence, you have to be free from everyone else, and you have to, and just have another job. You know, real artists today, they don't negotiate with what they do. Like their work is going to be negotiable. You just don't compromise. You don't compromise anything, and you just have to. And the mark that you are, and the sign of your of you are of the protectiveness that you have of your own work is the fact that you can say, you know what, I'll have a job. I'll have another job doing whatever. I can do literally whatever. It doesn't matter. And that's going to be my job. That's how I make a living. But, when it comes to my art, I'm just going to be 100% faithful to that and super protective. And I totally respect that. I really do. But I always wanted, like, my dream was always for this to be my life, like the totality of my life, always. And I always wanted to believe, like, I don't equate it. I don't think that if I would have, I don't want to say failed, but I don't think if I didn't reach that goal, I don't know if I would have felt like a failure. Maybe because I'm very hard on myself, but I always just wanted it. It's a matter of pride for me. Um, to feel that, yeah, I can do this, and this is my life. Like, the, my life revolves around this thing, this one thing, and that to me was bigger than anything else. It was bigger than making it. Like being part of a super popular gallery or something like that. No, the fact that I could sense myself an artist was super super important for me. So again, a lot of people, nowadays would hear some of my story and it's like, oh, you compromised a lot just for trying to belong to an institution or for trying to be part of a gallery. And nowadays we don't do that. Like, nobody cares about, if you care about money or if you care about, making it in those terms, that's super capitalist, that's terrible. I get it. I get all that, that sentiment. I understand where that comes from. And partially it comes from, the world being incredibly unfair to artists and not really giving, artists as a whole, as a bigger sort of voice, the conditions that we need. But I never wanted to feel guilty for just wanting to have the life that I wanted to have, and hoping that my art could take me there. Like, there's nothing wrong about wanting that, about, yearning for that or working really hard to get those things. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sounding like super whiny or super, but it's just, it's the reality of my process and my life that took me there. So I think many times with big decisions, in life, it's not really just about, like I said, it wasn't really just about, oh, let's make a project and that's it. Like, the project is no, it's not easy, but it's the simplest part to solve. I feel it's the easiest, sort of, gear to get going. But that willingness to work and that willingness to take a chance, and that, the fact that you're going to be combating this fear, this enormous sense of fear, that has to be born from something that means a lot to you, like a lot to you. If not, then, a project, you can just, renounce a project easily and just say, you know what, it didn't work, and who cares, it doesn't matter, and let's go and try something else, and we're done. But when your whole life has taken you there, and even if it's like, I think our project is it's nothing, it's a small, like, little, endeavor, and that's it. It's not something major. It didn't change the world. It's not doing anything that's like super big, but it was ours, and it was born from very specific, genuine needs. So it has to be. I think for things to work, they just have to mean something to you, and mean something to you deeply, like deeply, deeply, where, as was in our case, like, you're willing to just sacrifice all of it for it not to work. Like, you put all your eggs in that one basket. And people, I mean, Danny, we were like, people would send us messages, or friends were like, oh, that's not going to, like, this sounds stupid. It really does. And I mean, we had other friends. We had also a bunch of friends that would say, oh, that's so going to work. But I would get emails from other artists saying, like, this is so stupid. Like, why are you really doing this? Like, this sounds like, just like a dumb, like, publicity little stunt. And it's not sustainable. That's something that we heard like constantly. Like, this is dumb. Like, how long is it going to be? Like a couple of months or something? But because this is not sustainable. Like, in the long run, of course, this is dumb. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I don't know. I don't think we ever paid attention to any of that. So, anyways, ranting too much about all of that today. But yeah, that is a little window to the things that made the background stuff that was behind the effort of trying to do something different, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that you covered like the independence aspect
Yeah.
of the project, but I also think that the idea of sharing videos on
Oh
YouTube
yeah.
like had to do with wanting to like not only for you to make a painting but also share your process
Yeah.
and make it like available for people. And I don't mean available like for because you are giving people something, but because I remember that we talked about how Instagram was a platform where you had like people there, but
Mm-hmm.
you didn't know that people, they didn't know anything about you. They just saw what you were painting and that was all. So also the idea of making the videos like helped us like create that bridge
Mm-hmm.
to connect and to try to get to know the people more
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
than
yeah, yeah.
before.
That
So
part, and I'm sorry if I didn't kind of like address that part. I think that accessibility part, and that the effort in trying to generate like um just a different sort of
dynamic, yeah.
yeah, and like socializing dynamic.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna literally say like family, because yeah, that, I mean, that is what we have right now. And before, you could argue like, yeah, those people that I worked for, or I worked with, they also felt like my art family. But it was very sad, very painful to just see that kind of go away. So for sure, like, the trying to connect with other people through painting, through like the reflections that are done
Yeah.
when painting, while painting. I think that's, I mean, it sounds corny, but I think that's beautiful. I think that there's, like, we could argue about painting, like, and somebody saying, "Oh, I don't like that painting," and that's fine. Like, who cares? Like, honestly, that doesn't matter. But I think that, I have this overly sappy, romantic, vision. I think you share it, Danny. That at their core, like, the arts are beautiful. Like, they're absolutely beautiful, and they could speak about so many different things. They don't have to be hypercritical all the time. It doesn't have to be. Like, you can make art about, or your insatisfaction with politics, or your, whatever state, controlling state, um, you are objecting to. But you could also make art because you find, I don't know, a little bit of grass, a
Yeah.
patch of grass beautiful. And the two of them should not be exclusive. The two of them should not feel like they are limiting what the other can say, or they're validating or invalidating what the other can say. So I think that at its core, it's such a painting can be so powerful, or dedicating, an X amount of time, whatever it is, to a creative process, can be so beautiful that I don't know, it puts your whole life into perspective. It puts literally everything into perspective. And yeah, that's, part of the DNA of what we were doing. Was obviously, I mean, it wasn't about just um, sort of the
Yeah.
democratization of art. Or, I don't want to say knowledge. It feels super grandiose when you say like, oh, there's knowledge
No,
in
because
our
I
painted
think it
lives,
was
but
not
it's
like
information, I'd
no, and it
say.
was also like your own process,
Right,
like getting a little bit more information than just the image that you will post on Instagram
right,
or that you would sell or whatever, but like getting a little insight to that process.
right, right.
Yeah.
So I think availability to that, like, because again, it felt like prior relationships felt like like I was, like you were always on the sidelines, like you were always either, about to get, you know, kicked out of your work, or you had no control really of how your painting or your work was going to be socialized, or how much of it was going to be socialized, or there was a lack of like knowing, a lack of horizontality in that relationship. Like you could believe that the people that you were working with or for were the same as you, but there were power like struggle, like you could totally sense that
Yeah.
in terms of power, like they always had the
Well, I mean,
power.
of course, because
Yeah,
if they quit the equation,
right, which
then
is what
you're
happened.
done.
Exactly,
So,
exactly, you're right, it's
yeah.
exactly right. Like that's exactly what happened. Like when they decided to stop, like I'm sure they were affected in some way, but I would venture to say that never in the degree that I was affected. So, and that's usually what happens with people that kind of hold that power. Like they'll be fine, but for us, we have to scramble like crazy to try to redefine our lives, and it's super painful and difficult. So yeah, again, sorry about if this feels super personal in many ways, but I just feel that that's really at the core of the why, something was started. And it's, again, the YouTube channel part, it's always great. I mean, it's the funnest part, and it's the part that can be most gratifying when we have the ability to start to share with real people. But but there had to be like a core to all those, to the enormous effort that was going to have to fuel this exercise. So yeah, so that was it. I'm I don't know how I kind of, what happens to me, Danny, when I speak like super abstractly, like I keep painting. Like I don't even think about painting, and I just keep painting and painting and painting. And I think I paint better when I don't think about painting. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cuz I would have thought like, no, I have to stop painting to talk about something that
No,
feels
but you stop
personal.
sometimes.
Sometimes yeah, sometimes, but
No, but yeah, it helps you.
yeah, I think so. I think so. Or at least right now it did. So, let's call it a one day thing. Because I'm sure there's going to be days where I stop and you're like, "Hey, you're talking something personal. Keep painting.
No, I would never say that.
Hey, keep
No,
painting."
I would never say that. Um, wait. Um, so Column says, I've been working on this painting.
Yeah.
My intent is to make it about her coat, and I keep effing up the face. So
Mhm.
I scraped it, and I think it really works.
Oh, nice.
Is this lazy? I feel like it fits with what I wanted.
So we got to see. You know what we're going to say? We got to see it,
Yeah.
Callum. And it's not lazy. I mean, if from now on you start scraping faces because you're scared that you're always going to fuck it up, yeah, that's lazy. I mean, that's just turning a happy accident, if you will, into a rule, and you can't do that. You can't do that because then you will take all the virtue away of that first moment when it worked. So
Yeah, but I mean, Colum said that his intent was to make the painting about her coat.
right.
So I think he's not going against
No,
his
no, no, and
intention.
I'm not saying that in this particular case, if it worked, that's wonderful.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
what I'm saying is like if you're not going against your intention,
right,
then you're
right,
doing it right. I mean,
right. But I,
if
I think you understand
no,
what
no,
I'm
no,
trying to get
of
to.
course I do. Yeah, I was trying like to compliment what you were saying.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just hope that I didn't express it in a way where I was taking something from.
No, 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 because I wasn't trying to like correct what you were saying, but I was trying to add something. Like
You're always
if you're
correct, Danny.
no, I never correct you. I was trying to say that if Callum's intent was to focus on the code, then like the things that happen around the code,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have like that much
kind of like relevance or.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they're not your focal point. So if
Mm-hmm.
you were like scraping the code and you wanted that to be your focal point, then maybe you have to rethink it because you're just doing it because you don't like it. And as Nicolas said, maybe you're like getting a little lazy, or maybe you just are getting frustrated and don't want to finish it. But if your intent and your focal point is the code, then everything around, I think it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
So let me see if maybe Callum just send the image.
There's a really nice, Emil Robinson. Do you
Yeah,
remember him?
I love him. Yeah.
Yeah, we both like his work a lot.
Well, yeah, I
He
love his work. I don't know him,
Yeah,
so
he has I think it was a pastel drawing. No, 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 it's got to be a painting. Maybe you can look for it, but it's very hard because it's very sad, but he took a lot of his older work, down from the internet, which is fine. Like I totally understand if he wants like his newer work to be the one that represents him. Um, but it's this dude that is sleeping on
do you
a.
know if it's on
I
Instagram
don't think
or?
I don't think he's got it on Instagram. It's this dude that it's on a mattress, and his face is just super blurred out. And I think he eventually redrew the face. Um, Let me see. I'm peeking over my shoulder to see if you
Yeah,
find it.
but it's complicated because
I know he has like no, 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 no. You can like my description will you'll as soon as you see it like you'll know. No, 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 no. It's like you're looking from up down, and it's like the sleep. What did you Emil Robinson mattress?
yeah,
Yeah, maybe take the painting away or no, it has to be a pastel.
no,
So
because
put
this
try to
is what
search for
Emil
yeah, yeah, what
Robbins
the hell.
mattress. That's why I added the
Try to
painting.
look for Emil Robinson drawing and maybe you'll find it there. Like pastel drawing. He's like amazing at pastels. Like incredible.
Is it this one?
Almost, but no, no. You can see the mattress. I think the mattress has like a pattern to it.
Mm,
Maybe what I'm describing people know already, but who knows? I don't see it on it. Oh, look, the bottom corner right. Bottom corner right.
this one?
Yes.
Oh
Look at
yeah. Oof.
that. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Well,
Could
he's
you share that?
amazing. He's
Yeah. Well, he's
always
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah, we found it. We found it. We're not going to share it, but kidding. Of course, we're going to share it.
But what were you gonna
No,
say about
that's
them?
like one of those moments where it just makes sense. Like it really makes sense. But unfortunately, like drawing and painting can be so um ungrateful at times, I feel, where you think you've like discovered something about your own work, and you feel like, oh, I have to investigate this a little further. And many times we don't know how to investigate stuff, beyond just trying to replicate the same variables that made that possible. I hope I'm not speaking like super, cryptic. But and that's like and that's when drawing, painting, or whatever we do says like, no, 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 no. Like that is cheapening your prior effort. Like you're not supposed to just repeat it endlessly. And this is not like a fountain. This is not like it's not like you reached something somewhere and all you got to do from now on is just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. No, it's like you have to keep searching, but it's almost like instead of thinking that you found something, it's almost like you're in the right direction. Like you're going towards the right direction. Just keep going. But yeah.
So wait, cause I had to look for the image again.
Oh, I won't let you.
Yeah, but now
No, you
I
probably have
got it.
to.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay. Again, web pages that don't let you download, just right click and download. Come on, please. Stop doing that. Stop it.
there it is.
Yeah.
It's on screen. And
So,
Callum said that he just sent the image. So
okay.
let me check.
So hopefully this one will make you feel cool, Callum. Because oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I mean the portrait. I mean she's covering the portrait if you think about it. She's while doing the selfie or the or taking the photo, she's literally
Covering her
she has
face.
become like the obstacle for her own portrait. So the portrait in a way is kind of irrelevant in that sense. So
Mm,
I like this. I like that this is a little open. Like I'll speak 2 seconds about the painting,
yep.
but I like that this is sharper, super abstract. Really, I really, I mean, it's a oof, like what I was saying at the beginning. It's a paper bag. Like who knows how a paper bag behaves? It's one of those things that I think that it would almost feel. I mean, you can kind of make it up, but sometimes you can't imagine these shapes, and that's a cool thing. Like that's when you realize, yeah, that's you have to look at it to know. You have to look at it to realize, oh yeah, that's what a paperback feels like. That's what a paperback really looks like. Um, but I'm feeling like up here I can be a little broader with the amount of information. Like I don't have to be super specific about it. I just have to try to hit it and then let it be, uh, and not and hope that it doesn't quite compete with what's at the bottom. I feel that that's super important. And so knowing how much to do of this and how when too little is when too little is too little. No, what am I trying to say? When too little is not enough. Okay, that's better. Super tough, super hard to sort of reach that. I feel. Mm, I know there's contrast up here in the photo, but I don't want it. I want it to sort of just kind of fade into whateverness up there. Um, the colors, I haven't spoken too much about color. And I guess that's a good sign also, the fact that I haven't mentioned how that blue was just so ridiculously overpowering at the beginning. Um, I mean, I felt it. I feel like I acknowledged it, and then I moved on. And I think that that's kind of cool. That's like a healthy way of doing something. You're not fighting against it. You're not trying to believe that it's not so. No, you acknowledge it and you go like, yeah, that's a hell of a color. That's, saturated. It's going to eat up if I don't respect it, it's going to eat up all my mixes in my palette. And as soon as you see that, you just say, okay, I'm going to respect you. That's your nature as a pigment. Let's work around, or let's work with, those wonderful qualities. I don't think I'm um I don't think I'm pushing them right now. And I told you guys at some point at the beginning that I was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen with this particular painting, because that's just not what this painting is about. I feel that if we were doing yesterday's painting, maybe we could have gotten a little more out of that coolness, particularly in the shadow part. I think cobalt teal. I remember in the color in shadow with yesterday's painting, Danny. Like
Yeah.
I near the end, I did a tiny little like vertical stroke of that cobalt teal, and it was really nice. Like it made the warm just feel so much warmer than it was previous than what I previously had. So it was it was very little, very, you don't need like a huge statement for that to be true. But it was nice. It was nice to see that was something that, oh fuck, why do I do this? Like, I have no idea what I had in my brush, and I went like I did a brush stroke. Um, but um, but it was nice. It was nice that I felt like the effect of that blue very quickly in the painting, and that was super cool. Uh, for for today, that I don't think that was going to happen. I really don't, and particularly if the intent was to explore the more neutral side of the palette. And I feel like we're there. I mean, it's a brown paperback, so we were able to say brownness and paperback and neutral with colors that don't really equate to that. Not and they don't even feel like that when you start to mix them. So it was very obvious, plain and obvious that to know that there had to be a lot of over mixing, like tertiary color mixing, happening for um, for that character to start to be present in the palette. So I'm happy that we kind of got to that point.
So Maurice Robbins was saying, this channel legit taught me to paint, and I love that the different prompts have inspired me to paint the strangest of things,
Cool.
like
That's
my
awesome.
food and a pig. I love the pig so much. Your story inspires. So I read this because I wanted to see.
I have
I
to see
want
the
to see the
pig.
pig now.
Yeah, I got to see that pig.
Can you send it? So let me. I'm gonna put on screen our Instagram handles. Maybe you can send it to mine so I can show, like, I can see it and I can show it to Nicolas. Because
Oh
now we
yeah.
want to see it.
Oh hell yeah. And it could be it doesn't matter how good or bad this pig is. It's just I love that you feel that it was a cool experience for you. I love that.
Gabriel Pozo dice, Nico, algo me dice que antes trabajabas hasta en la noche. ¿Tienes algún consejo sobre cómo pintar en la noche en términos de
Mm,
luz?
pero Gabriel es,
Ujú.
perdóname.
Gabriel
Pero
Pozo.
Gabriel, no, honestamente, voy a ser súper honesto. En casos muy particulares, o sea, de pronto cuando estaba trabajando para una expo y sabía que tenía como una fecha límite que tenía que cumplir y de repente pues eh, me obligaba a tener que cumplir como con esos requisitos. Sí, esos como los momentos donde yo decía, bueno, tengo que considerar pintar a deshoras, digámoslo así.
Sí, porque tu horario
Pero
nunca,
no, mi horario
nunca
no
era
es de
de,
noche.
ni
No,
es
no,
ni
no.
era de noche, sí.
No, no, no. A eso iba. No, no, no. Yo respeto mucho como ese otro tiempo que está por fuera de la pintura y es el tiempo que, por ejemplo, paso con Dani o el tiempo que paso con los niños. Para mí ese tiempo es súper importante porque es el que me da como balance en la vida, o sea, independientemente de a qué lo destinemos, o sea, en últimas la gente pues no tiene que sentir que lo que hagamos Dani y yo en nuestro tiempo como pareja o si estamos con los niños pues tiene que ser como una cosa relevante en términos artísticos, o sea, podemos desde ver las peores series de tele que nos gustan, o sea,
Sí,
podemos ver unas cosas en Netflix fatales, pero pues nos dan como balance
sí,
después de trabajar mucho y nos gustan a los dos, entonces nos reímos y ahí tenemos conversaciones tontas, o si estamos con los niños y podemos, no sé, salir o jugar a algo, salir a un parque o hacer tareas, o sea, pueden hay veces ser cosas también súper charras, o sea, responsabilidades así muy mundanas también es importante como tenerles, entender que eso tiene un tiempo y un espacio, que uno necesita darles ese tiempo y ese espacio.
sí.
O sea, por ejemplo, Fer, ahorita no están Fer ni Samu, ellos vienen ahorita,
La otra
la
semana.
otra semana están 2 semanas con nosotros, pero tú has visto que cuando yo hago tareas con Fer, Linda,
Ujú.
que Fer le encanta, o sea,
Pues
le
es que ella ya
encanta,
no hace tareas si no estás tú. Es
sí,
como,
le encanta hacer, ella es como,
porque
vamos a
es
hacer
plan, para
tareas,
ella es plan.
sí, vamos a hacer tareas. Y ahorita que estaba leyendo ese libro de mitología griega, ella lo leemos juntos y para ella es un súper
No,
plan.
además a mí me encantó. No sé si escuché mal, pero creo que escuché bien que ella te dijo como que ustedes lo habían leído el fin de semana y ella te dijo el lunes como, es que la verdad yo ya lo había leído,
Sí, me
pero lo
traicionó.
quería leer contigo. No, pero es muy
Sí, no, se
bonito,
me hizo divino. O sea,
porque
si es
para
leer,
ella dice, pues si tarea significa que pasamos tiempo juntos, pues hagamos
sí,
todas las tareas del mundo.
sí, 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 exacto. Entonces
Y es súper bonito.
estas cosas, o sea, por más de que parezca que no, no sé, o sea, por más de que suenen como, uy, no, pues qué delicia uno parar de pintar para hacer tareas, not, pero, pero la verdad es que es que es importante, es súper, súper importante. Y creo que Dani es igual, o sea, al final, mm, pues yo siento que mucha de la pintura nace de nuestra vida, entonces sí, pues si yo no tengo una vida para vivir, pues no tengo nada para pintar. Entonces, pues necesito que esa parte exista. Pues no porque la tengo que pintar, o sea, no porque mi preocupación es que la tengo que pintar, sino porque mi preocupación es que la quiero vivir. O sea, quiero tener esa vida con Dani y con mis hijos. Entonces, ay, fuck, cogí a Lizarín.
Sí, iba a conectar eso que acabas de responder con Víctor Barbero. Antes había dicho, antes porque lo dijo hace un ratico, dijo, otra idea sería hacer los videos de una manera como lo hizo Víctor Eriz en El Sol del Membrillo, mostrar
Uy,
no solo el proceso pictórico, sino también vuestra vivencia diaria con el arte y la pintura. E iba a decir que
sí,
hay personas que nos han preguntado, como que tú vas a un taller y dicen, ay, haga como blogs, no sé, videos. Y yo creo que para nosotros es súper importante como para encontrar el balance, tener esos espacios como nuestros. O sea, que estos espacios los compartimos, pero eso, lo que tú dices, o sea, podemos estar haciendo cualquier bobada, pero es chévere porque como que nos da un balance a
sí.
esto que hacemos como nuestro trabajo. Entonces yo creo que la verdad, ese tipo de contenido no lo haríamos. No
Pues es
sé.
que además sería, tú que serías la editora.
No, pues no,
Sería una
no
cantidad
duermo.
absurda de
Sí,
trabajo para ti. Que
sí,
yo creo
no.
que eso pasa desapercibido. O sea, uno muchas veces, y no quiero decir que Víctor no haya tenido eso en cuenta, pero para uno muchas veces, cuando uno, por ejemplo, un documental, uno lo ve tan
Sí,
como, ay, me están mostrando como ese detrás de escenas de lo que
sí,
sucede, o me están narrando una historia que está
sí, sí,
detrás de la
sí.
historia.
Sí, pero uno nunca
Pero,
piensa en la persona que está
claro,
grabando, editando.
claro, ush, y recopilando la cantidad de información que uno necesita
Sí,
para contar ese tipo de cosas.
sí, sí, sí.
Yo creo que incluso por eso es que, pues, él menciona ese documental
Sí, sí,
de
sí.
Antonio López, pero por eso es que no hay tantos de esos tampoco. O
Sí, sí,
sea,
sí.
esas son unas cosas que el compromiso que se tiene que tener con ese tipo de registro es tan, tan alto que casi que termina siendo, yo por eso mi primera como como que mi cabeza se fue primero a pensar en eso como si fuera un documental.
Sí, sí, sí. No, no, y digamos que de pronto no están diciendo que sea tan constante, sino que de vez en cuando, pero yo creo que igual de vez en cuando tampoco lo haríamos porque es para nosotros importante como tener ese balance de lo que es nuestra vida privada
Sí,
y lo que es
sí,
esto que compartimos, que igual acá hemos compartido historias pues como súper
íntimas, sí.
íntimas de nosotros, sí, pero pues al final de cuentas, si compartimos todo, se volvería como un poquito difícil encontrar como un balance, sí. Y cuando estabas diciendo lo de que el editor o la persona de la cámara pasa desapercibida, estaba pensando, creo que tú y yo lo hablamos antes y yo siempre me voy por las ramas, pero eh, ¿te acuerdas cuando vimos, creo que fue en Instagram, como un señor que salta de una piedra haciendo paracaidismo? Y uno dice, uy, lo máximo, ese man es un berraco. Pero lo que uno no piensa es que la persona que la está
El otro
grabando
que está
también está
saltando, sí,
saltando de la piedra. Y
sí,
que hablábamos de eso, como
que
que uno a
siempre hay...
veces ve el contenido y no entiende lo que tiene que pasar detrás del contenido para que ese contenido pase.
Sí,
Entonces,
de nuevo no estamos diciendo que Víctor no
no,
se
pues
dé cuenta de
no,
esas
porque
cosas,
incluso
sino
ese documental es súper chévere. Lo que pasa es que creo que tiene que haber como otro tipo
es denso, ¿no? Es denso.
de
O sea,
entrega y de
incluso yo
disposición.
que amo a Antonio López, uff, es denso, es complejo, difícil de digerir.
Em, Víctor dice, Dani, ¿eres pintora?
¿Tú cómo
Soy
te...?
artista.
Eso
Yo
es.
soy artista. Sí, iba a decir artista visual, pero
Pues te graduaste como artista
sí,
visual.
sí, pero yo soy artista, diría. Yo creo que tú te defines como pintor.
Yo me siento más cómodo pintor, sí.
Sí, yo creo
En
que
algún
yo.
momento en mi vida me hubiera fascinado ser como ilustrador, como decir soy
No, y
ilustrador.
escultor, a ti
Ah,
también te
bueno, eso no,
encantaría.
en otra vida hubiera dado todo por ser un escultor, pero
Pero sí, yo creo que yo me definiría un poco más como,
abierto.
como abierto, sí,
Sí, sí,
como artista.
sí. Sí,
Em,
yo soy más limitado en la forma, en las formas como me puedo expresar, yo creo, que tú. O sea, no quiero
pues
decir bueno
no,
o
pero
malo, pero
no, porque no, yo no creo que sea de como limitado o no limitado, sino que yo creo que a veces tú en la pintura encuentras como el lenguaje para todo lo que quieres decir
sí,
y yo a veces siento que necesito de otros recursos para hablar sobre lo que quiera hablar.
sí,
Entonces,
100%, ¿no? Perfecto.
em, Jesús de la Osa dice, ¿has intentado hacer animación?
No. Pues, pero, o sea, animar literalmente no, pero trabajar en un proyecto de animación sí trabajé, pero hice los fondos, entonces como que no vale. Hice los fondos que eran pinturas digitales. Eh, pero, uy, animar también se me hace que ese es o sea, el, el deseo por animar, yo no creo que sea simplemente como decir, ay, voy a como poner una imagen en movimiento o voy a hablar de una acción. Yo creo que es mucho más profundo que eso, como que es mucho, mucho más profundo y más complejo que eso también. Entonces, yo soy fan absurdo, yo creo que a Dani y a mí nos encanta como ejemplos chéveres de animación,
Sí.
eh, pero,
Y
uy,
stop motion, yo creo
sí,
que,
a ti te
uff,
fascina el stop
sí,
motion,
me
sí,
fascina,
sí.
me enloquece, me parece muy chévere.
Em, a mí también me gusta, o sea, yo que pues bueno, no, eso es incluso más viejo que yo, pero que en la casa nos ponían resto de ese stop motion de Rudolph ahorita para hacer como navideño,
Ajá.
ese stop motion de Rudolph, que es como con títeres, y el abominable hombre de las
Creo que
nieves.
no lo he visto.
Ay, es clásico. No, si has visto las imágenes de eso,
De
pero
pronto
uy, yo
no.
crecí con eso y es increíble, o sea,
Sí,
ese stop motion era increíble. Pero desde eso a Marian Max, a
sí,
todo
mi
lo que
favorita.
hace Laika también,
Sí,
a Coraline
increíble.
son gente, a Kubo, ¿qué más hace Laika? Norman, ese Paranorman,
Sí.
increíble. Ellos creo que son los mejores en eso. Pues los mejores en eso, como más, que ya se convirtieron como más en esa
Ay, y la de las cajas, Box Trolls,
Box
¿es?
Trolls,
Sí,
sí,
también.
sí, ellos son increíbles. Eh, Madame Tutli Putli, que es una cosa, pero de otro planeta. Esa animación es lo más increíble del mundo. Y hasta animación, pues más tradicional. O sea, yo no soy tan de anime, pero ahorita estaba mirando, pues no me la he acabado, la de LOL, que están dando por Netflix, la de Arcane, y se me está haciendo pues chévere. O sea, igual tiene presupuesto Tencent, que eso es una barbaridad. O sea, eso hay plata por donde sea, pero para hacer una animación de esas increíble. Pero, tienen cosas muy bonitas. O por ejemplo, Alberto Mielgo, todo lo que hace Alberto Mielgo con los cortos,
Ujú.
esos cortos que ha hecho en, ¿cómo se llama esa? Love, Sex and Robots, ¿es?
Love, Death and
Love,
Robots.
Death and Robots, le metí yo el
Sí,
sex,
sí,
¿sí?
sí.
Pucha, todo sex.
¿Qué,
No
Nicolás?
sé, no,
¿Qué? ¿No
no sex,
sex?
¿qué dije? Em, eh, Love, Death and Robots, sí. Podría ser Love, Sex and Robots, la
Sí,
verdad. Y
pero no
más lo de
es.
Mielgo.
Pero
Lo
no
de Mielgo es
es.
súper sexual también.
Pero no es.
Pero,
No es.
pero Mielgo también hizo el concept, o sea, hizo toda como la preproducción para Spider-Verse. Entonces, es una locura. Em, ese tipo de cosas me fascinan y honestamente también me encanta, a mí me gusta muchísimo lo que haga o Disney o
Ah,
el
sí.
estudio Sony o Pixar. O sea, la
No, pues
verdad,
obviamente son.
para mí lo que es bueno y ya.
Sí,
O
sí,
sea,
sí.
no me importa de dónde viene. Hay gente que detesta Disney por ser Disney y yo entiendo, pues es una mega compañía y va a ser dueña de nuestro entretenimiento como en los próximos años. Pero, no sé, es que también, para que me entiendan, o sea, yo crecí, yo crecí en los ochentas y entonces era cuando era como cero cool uno ser fan de cosas de cómics, cero cool. O sea, uno era el loser más grande del universo si a uno le gustaban esas cosas. Entonces yo toda mi vida sentí que tenía que esconder que me gustaban esas cosas porque pues yo no tenía como la personalidad para decirle a la gente, no, pues fuck you y esto me gusta a mí, chao. No, yo era como no, o sea, como que siempre alguien me hacía sentir mal o me hacía sentir como vergüenza porque me gustaban mis cómics o las cosas de ilustración. Entonces yo me volví como súper protector de esas cosas. Incluso yo creo que ahorita mucho de lo de las estatuas y como las figuras que tengo, pues es eso, es como esa respuesta como a poder finalmente decir, pues esto era lo que me gustaba, entonces todo el mundo coma mierda y ya. Pero entonces hay mil cosas que hace Marvel ahorita con Disney, obviamente, que pues sí, es Disney, yo sé cuando la gente critica a Disney, pues claro, uno critica al resto, el que monopolicen muchísimo y el que no, digamos que la gente mm, en en esa conciencia colectiva empiece a pensar que solo hay eso. Pero la realidad es que hay tantas maneras de mostrar proyectos creativos, por ejemplo, en animación hoy en día, que yo diría, no, pero a ver, o sea, eso hay campo para todo el mundo, para el que quiera.
Igual yo también diría que, o sea, cuando se critica eso, no puede uno como negar que algo es bueno, solo
Sí,
por justificar como la
exacto.
pelea, porque, pues, a ver, o sea, las animaciones son buenas
Sí, los artistas son
y
chéveres
son artistas muy buenos, sí, y pues sí,
que hay
como
veces
que
sean historias, o sea, que hay veces la historia se vuelva historia Disney, pues sí, o sea, pero es que pues, yo también he visto animaciones japonesas que yo digo, ay, esto es una telenovela fatal, o sea, donde las historias no son tan chéveres, o sea, incluso voy a ser crítico, a mí que me fascina lo de Ghibli, hay veces que veo cosas de Ghibli y digo, no, esto es como un poquito dulzón, esto es como demasiado dulzón para mí. Y hay cosas que hacen re locas, que son una chimba buenísimas, pero uno dice, no, no son para mí. O hay cosas que uno ve de Satoshi Kon y uno dice, no, es muy loco. O sea, es como, whoop, me pasa por encima y es re loco lo que están tratando de decir ahí.
I
Eh,
wait,
yes, what happened?
because Maurice Robbins
Yes,
that told us about the pig is
yes,
saying also about to have to go back to work, loving the painting, but I was just seeing the painting
yeah.
because they just sent it and they said yes, I can send it. I'd love to. I send it. I am fanboying right now, and this is the painting.
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
You know what I love? That it looks like the pig is like in a studio. I mean, like if
Oh,
the
yeah,
pig
yeah,
was super
yeah.
important.
I'm ready for my close up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
like
looks
a
like, dude. I don't know if Maurice. I don't know if you're listening to me. Have you seen Jamie Wyatt's pigs? Danny, search for them. Maybe he's looking at. I
yeah.
know you
But
have
I
to
don't
go
know
back to
if
work.
Maurice is gone
Yeah, but
or
maybe. But let's
is
do it for
still here.
Maurice. Let's do this for Maurice.
What do I
Um,
look for?
Jamie Wyatt pig. They're so good.
Yeah.
And there's a bigger one, because that's a very.
Oh, this one's good.
No, I like
This
there's
one?
no. Look at the portrait, the one that's center, 3 rows down. Center, 3 rows. There you go.
This one?
Look at that face.
Oh, but it's a detail.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's from Animal Farm. Maybe did
But
he paint Animal Farm, or
so
did they use it as an Animal Farm cover? I forget. I forget.
so I'm gonna
But they are so good. Jamie Wise is like a super good painter.
because I know downloading the image and putting it on screen would take a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Maurice has to go,
Yeah.
but I just typed
Jamie Wyeth is a pig.
no, I write Jamie White pig, so they can look for it.
Yeah. Hopefully he knows. He knows it. I mean, he'll find a ton of correspondence, maybe. In
Oh, so Maurice said there's a story underneath in the caption for the pig. Haha, it's kind of dark, but I love it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Is it paint? Danny, read it first
Right. Yeah.
and see if it's if I'm gonna cry. Let me know.
Wait, so let me ask another question because it's a long text.
Oh, okay.
Um, so Alexander Sedig says, I don't usually like my work when I finish it, but sometimes, months later, I look back and see things that I like in it. Is that normal? I'd like
Yeah.
to recognize it at at the time so I could push it more.
Yeah, but sometimes those the timing of those things doesn't coincide, and we have to be okay with that. Like sometimes we only understand what we're doing, years after. That's why it's so, like, when you have to when you're trying to participate in like prizes, for example, or anything that's for example, in here we could participate in city, or no, I'm sorry, well, some of them are from the city, from Bogota, and a lot of them are state. um what do you call, cómo se dice en inglés, o
¿Qué?
sea, pues
¿Qué,
la
qué? Es
plata
que
que
estaba
la
leyendo,
plata que
perdón.
te darían por para hacer proyectos.
Oh,
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, many times when you participate in these kind of es que se me fue la palabra que estoy buscando.
is it like profit, maybe?
No, 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 no. Como
¿Incentivo?
sí, ay, pero las cosas, las convocatoria, ¿cómo se dice convocatoria en inglés?
Wait, a mí también se me fue.
No, es que fue pucha, uno
No, sí,
habla
no,
dos cosas al tiempo y
mi
no habla
cerebro,
ninguna.
no, it says announcement, que obviamente
No,
no.
no, no.
Entonces, espera.
So anyway, if you are hoping to get like state, like money from your state or your city, and you have to like write, like describe a project, and they're expecting like this full understand that for you to have this full understanding of that project, right?
Grant.
Yeah,
They're
if
saying
you're looking
grant.
for grants, and fuck, I'm taking alizarin. But if you're hoping to get some money from grants, from very specific grants that would make like a very specific a specific project possible, you always have to describe it with what I would say is like an unusual sense of. I dropped my brush. No, that
Do
doesn't
you
matter,
need it?
Danny. Doesn't matter.
You don't need it?
No.
Okay.
An unusual sense of certainty. And I think it's unusual because I don't really know if I trust a project that you haven't really executed yet, but you think that you understand. I don't think that that's normal. I don't think that that's even possible, that without doing something, what's going to happen. I think that in all of arts, execution can be so powerful at times that it can change the course of a project. It can make you, see things that you were blind to before you started, and it can really change everything. It can literally change everything. It could change how you feel. I mean, the timing of the execution of a project is so different many times from your um your conception of the project, that's why I always thought it was ridiculous to expect, for example, from students that those two processes go hand in hand. You can't expect them to go hand in hand. Like for somebody, for example, when speaking about painting, for somebody to be able to produce a painting and then understand why they're producing a painting and the effect that painting is having on their practice, like, that's insane. That's so hard. It's so, like, again, it's so abnormal to have that expectation and to force it onto what happened here.
Maybe your finger?
Oh, maybe this
Oh,
brush.
that brush.
Oh,
Yeah.
when I dropped the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is so absurd to have that expectation, and then to sort of impose it on somebody else as a requirement. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. That was also a part of why, a very important part of my departure from institutions. couldn't understand how like um, we weren't open to understanding that many times those two things don't meet, which means that, literally what you're describing, which means that sometimes you don't really know why you're doing what you're doing. It's as simple as that. Many, many times, there'll be many times in our work where we just don't fully understand what we're doing. And instead of feeling guilty about it or feeling like we're doing like we got to be doing something wrong because this knowledge is escaping us, maybe we didn't pay attention, or maybe because there is that sense of detachment, then we're not doing it right. Instead of feeling that way, we should normalize that feeling, because that's fine. That's totally fine. That is, again, that should be expected. Should be expected. So this kind of need to constantly judge art based on certainties, it's very strange. It's on pseudo certainties. It's very, very strange. I never liked it. I never liked it when I was a teacher. And I know that we have to find a way to evaluate, and to evaluate objectively in a way in which, if there's 20 people in the classroom, we can, those 20 people will feel that we're being fair to each and every one of them. I know that that's tough. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but what I'm saying is that I think even though I'm not saying it's easy, I'm saying that the other side is wrong, just feels wrong. Um, so yeah, don't ever feel bad about that. It's completely, I don't like to use the word normal. It's just, it is how creative processes go. It's totally fine to feel that way. Totally, totally fine.
Um, Gabriel Pozo dice, ¿ya viste las pinturas al óleo de Mielgo?
Sí, sí, sí. Son, de nuevo, él acompaña, pero es que yo creo que siempre hay como un subtexto muy sexual de lo que él hace. Entonces, digamos, es de esperar que muchas de las mujeres y en los espacios que pinta también tengan como ese tono sexual. Hay unas que son abiertamente sexuales, pero sí, sí, sí las conozco, también es muy chévere. Obviamente él es un artista enorme, entonces si decide pintar, pues es un genio. O sea, él es un absoluto genio.
Y las que son como de espacios son chéveres.
Sí, sí, muchas veces son mujeres, bueno,
No, pero hay,
o son parejas teniendo
pero
como...
espera, porque yo creo que yo he visto de espacios. Espérate,
Sí,
un
pero,
momento.
pero siempre el espacio tiene como un desnudo femenino en algún lado, Linda. Pues no, no, mentira, no quiero generalizar, pero pues estoy como...
A ver, pues están como estas. Esto es como, esto es digital, mira.
Sí, sí, sí. No, los digitales de él son una locura. O sea,
Sí, sí, sí.
o sea, él es un genio, como un director de arte absurdo,
Sí,
absurdo,
sí, sí,
absurdo.
pero tienes razón, de pronto las de óleo son...
Sí, siempre, siempre, eso sí. Y a uno puede que no le gusten, o sea,
Mm.
sí. Eso también sería, pues, muy probable que no, que no le gusten mucho, pues que no le tramen mucho ese tipo de imágenes, pero lo que pasa es que yo creo que él hace en pintura algo que siempre está presente en los otros trabajos.
So, um,
Harto español hoy. Hoy nos fuimos con
sí,
martes de español,
miércoles de español. Hoy es miércoles, poco.
pero miércoles en un martes podemos también.
O podemos solo decirle miércoles de español.
Miércoles, hablamos mucho español.
Eh,
Pésimo.
so Callum said, I just got an easel and have some panels to work at a larger scale to submit to local galleries, etc.
Nice.
I have only worked at A4 so far. Any advice for approaching larger paintings?
Yeah, bigger brushes. Bigger brushes, take some distance between yourself and your painting. So always walk back, always, always, always walk back. So usually it's more paint, bigger brushes, and keep your distance. So, as much as you can, just work at arm's length. If you usually just work super close to your paintings, then just be mindful and just walk back constantly.
Yeah.
I think that's all you need.
So I was trying to look for more questions. I don't know if maybe you guys have more questions. We're open to answer everything, art and non-art.
Everything?
Well,
As much as we
the
can.
majority of things, yeah. Art or non-art related or food related. Eh,
Danny, I
what?
I am dying to know something.
What?
You have
But
to
are you
read my
going to
mind.
expose me?
No, expose you.
I don't know. Like,
Expose you.
no, like put me in contra la pared, como digo eso, como.
No, that's even eso suena peor incluso.
No, o sea,
Eh,
como.
no, 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 no. I was just gonna ask you for a favor and to
What?
see if you could read my mind.
Do you want water?
No, that's like so.
Oh, to look for the Liverpool match?
Yes.
Wait.
So just type Premier League.
No, I know what to type. Coquito.
Oh my God, she's writing like 8 words. Premier League.
Wait.
Oh,
They're winning.
in what's halftime?
It's
Up. No,
no,
left,
it doesn't say
top left corner. That
top left.
no, top right under the players. What
No,
does
it
say?
says wait. Oh, it says halftime.
Thank
So
you, Jesus, Danny.
ay.
Thank you, Danny. Danny Sita.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
de nada. Mhm.
2-1. It's actually a lot closer than what it should be. Because Benitez, who scored for them, Danny?
Wait, because I closed the
Don't close it, please.
So, Henderson
Okay, good.
first and Salah.
Mohamed
Yeah, and then
King
Gray for the Everton.
Gray. I don't know if I remember who that is.
Demarai Gray.
Oh, I don't know.
Wait. So now I'm gonna Google.
I mean, it's bad taste for a Liverpool fan to know anything about Everton. So
he is.
maybe show. Oh, the young. Oh,
Yeah,
he's super young.
super young,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know him already. He's good. He's a good player. He's probably like their best player. But he's very young still. Because I saw a match where he was just missing everything. So maybe he's still a little too young, but he's going to be good for sure.
So Hector Acuña
See?
says, "Hi Nicolas and Danny. I've enjoyed listening to the conversation, especially about academia, grants, artistic integrity. I'm wondering if you have advice for artists who are teaching or want to teach."
Oh, just have a good reason for teaching, I feel. Don't do it just because it's a job. First of all, it's not as if we can just say, "Oh, I want to teach," and then suddenly this job appears and you're going to be able to teach anywhere you want. Like, no, that's one of the biggest lies that, grad schools, for example, they don't tell you, which is that there's not a ton of jobs available. I mean, there's not enough art schools for every grad student out there. So they should be super, super honest about those things when you're, when you're getting your master's or your undergrad. It's just there's not a place for everyone out there, which is super sad. And I know, and it's like crazy scary also. So ideally, you're going into teaching not because that's the only like chance that you're going to have some sense of stability, but ideally you're going into teaching because you genuinely want to teach. You really, really feel that teaching will be part of your growth and your process as a human being, because there is nothing worse and nothing more unfair to students than a bad teacher, than somebody who does not want to be there or who doesn't care to be there. That's a crime, I feel. I know it sounds hyperbolic, but I feel that that's one of the most unfair and just useless and saddest things in all of education. It's just somebody there who just doesn't want to be there and just wants to have a stable job and wants to, in the case of the US, just wants to have paid vacation and paid leave. It's ridiculous. You can't do that. You can't, damage so much a wonderful relationship you could have with your students just because, you want some sense of stability. So if you want to teach, really question why you want to do it. Really, really question. And I mean, I'm not the one who's going to say, oh, yeah, that's a good reason. And oh, no, that's not a good reason. That's for just the people that are interested in teaching to answer. But you have to. And once you're teaching, know that it's like everything else. It's a tough job. It's a very, very tough job. And you can only get better with time. You can only know the things that you're doing wrong with time. You can only gauge, the decisions you took that you thought were good and maybe they were terrible with time. Time is the only variable that's going to help you in trying to understand those things. I always thought, for example, in my history, I always felt kind of stupid when looking back because I thought that I started young when I started to teach. I started at 29 and at the university. So I think I was way too young to start to teach. And I thought I could be a cool teacher that was going to be friends with the students. And it's like almost saying, hey guys, I want to be one of you, or see me as one of you. And I was young enough for them to kind of understand me as one of them, but I wasn't earning their respect the way that I should, I feel. I should have, and later on is when I realized that there were other ways instead of creating this kind of strange relationship where I was like, yeah, we are equals. And I mean, in many levels, we are equals, of course. But I had to, do my job as a teacher. I wasn't there to be friends, and that was it. Like I couldn't, even though being friends made the job or made me believe that it was making my job easier, it just wasn't right for me. So yeah, a lot of those things you're gonna have to figure out with time, um, and that's it's an amazing process. So best of luck if you want that. There's no rules to any of that. I mean, there's rules to the institution, and you're gonna have to answer in tons of ways to the institution. But as far as like the teacher that you want to be, oh, that's super difficult. Like that'll only come to you, and it'll only come with time. But hopefully, before any of that, you are becoming a teacher, you are working hard towards, hopefully being a teacher in the future because you really, really believe in you know in the wonders of education. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Elena Godina dice, hablando de animación, ¿qué piensan de Encanto? Yo soy de México y cuando salió Coco me preocupaba la representación de mi país desde fuera, pero cuando la vi me gustó. Elena, no, no la hemos visto
No,
todavía.
no. Hay mucha
Tenemos
gente
que
que
ir.
nosotros hemos hablado de eso, o sea, y sin entrar en polémicas tampoco, porque pues que no vienen al lugar, pero pues también diciendo lo que tú y yo opinamos, que creo que estamos más o menos en el mismo sitio. O sea, em, yo creo que obviamente existe una oportunidad enorme, o una trampa enorme por tratar de que el folclore colombiano se caricaturice. eh,
Pero igual yo creo
y,
que
y
sería lo mismo que en Coco,
que cualquier
digamos,
cosa,
porque
o, o,
pues,
o las cosas nórdicas en Frozen, por
no, sí,
ejemplo,
sí,
o algo. O sea,
exacto,
si uno de verdad quiere ponerse como a pensar, es como
exacto, exacto.
siempre va a haber como un punto de partida que uno dice, no, pues ese punto de partida siempre se vuelve súper maleable
Y
para
se
poder contar una
romantiza
historia.
muchísimo,
Sí,
sí.
claro, sí,
Pero
eso.
pues es que igual ese es el tipo de historias que cuenta Disney.
Claro, claro.
Entonces, pues es muy difícil cuando uno, porque claro, uno entiende todos los problemas que tiene Colombia y si uno quiere que todo eso se represente en una sola, pues no solamente los problemas, ¿no? Todos los problemas y todas las virtudes que tiene Colombia, pues es imposible hablar de todo eso en una película que dure 2 horas. O sea, sería
Sí.
completamente imposible, entonces también es muy difícil, creo yo, cuando la gente, eh, l- iba a decir le hace el feo, pero no sé si eso sea como
No, pues
un
o que
dicho que entiendan, pero sí, como que la gente
rechaza.
rechaza, exacto, la película solamente porque es una idea romántica de lo que es lo que dices tú. O sea, con Frozen pues pasa lo mismo, pero pues no hay como ese tipo de quejas o de reclamos de que esa no es la verdadera Colombia. Entonces,
O que se convierta como una especie de propaganda, como, y además propaganda como para el Estado, como para, como si se estuviera, sí, vendiendo y encubriendo todo lo que, todas las dificultades que ha tenido históricamente Colombia,
sí,
solo porque hay una película animada
no, y yo
que
entiendo, pero igual
cuenta
eso no es,
otra historia.
sí, y no es tampoco obligación de Disney. Como, pues, o sea, ellos están utilizando un aspecto de Colombia para hablar de eso. Lo mismo que en el de Coco utilizaron solo una cosa de México, que es lo del Día de los Muertos,
Sí, aquí
pero
es a
es,
García Márquez, o sea,
sí,
aquí
y
es
es una
volver
cosa,
García Márquez en Disney.
exacto, pero pues igual, o sea, lo que iba es que es muy difícil uno decir, es que no habló de X, Y, Z, porque
Sí, o sea,
pues,
que
a
tenían
ver,
que
la
hablar
película
de
es de,
guerrilla.
la película es de A, porque se le pide que hable de tantas otras cosas cuando el foco de la película es otro. Pero bueno, no la hemos visto todavía.
Sí, pero yo
Tenemos que verla.
seguramente, o sea, voy a ser honesto, yo seguramente me la voy a ver y si me gusta, o sea, y
Pues
si
te
siento que
gusta,
es
sí.
bonita o chévere. A mí, lo que pasa es que yo soy, a mí me dan duro como los musicales, entonces
No, pero
incluso
Coco no te gustó, a mí me gustó
Coco
mucho.
es
Yo
bonita, a mí se me
lloré,
hizo,
obviamente,
tú lloraste, sí,
con todo.
pero, pero a mí, yo soy duro con los musicales.
No, pero vamos a ir,
Sí, sí, sí,
porque sí.
sí, yo no le estoy sacando del cuerpo,
No.
tranquila, ya me
No,
estás
igual
ahí
ya
como, no,
miré,
Nicolás, pero vamos a ir.
sí, no es que ya miré fechas,
Ah, bueno,
porque vamos a ir.
sí, pero seguramente sí es chévere, si es una historia bonita y por ejemplo si la vemos con Fer y Fer también sale contenta y si la vemos con Samu y
Sí,
también sale él contento, pues chévere, o sea, yo digo que si por ejemplo esa película hace que la gente lea no solo a García Márquez, sino ficción latinoamericana, pues chévere, o sea, o sea, qué fue lo malo que hizo esa película entonces, sino entusiasmar a las personas? ¿Qué tal? O sea, hay tanto mercado americano o internacional que uno les da y todos los latinos sabemos esto, perdón, les dan el mapamundi y no tienen idea dónde está
sí.
Colombia. No tienen idea.
Que además también, bueno, acá ya es un poco político, pero también es complicado cuando la gente dice, no, es que es horrible porque en Colombia, todo lo que la gente sabe de Colombia es esa serie Narcos. Pero entonces sale una especie de contraparte, que es una
Sí,
película de Disney y también es problemático.
sí,
Entonces
sí,
en ese punto uno dice, ¿cómo así? O sea, uno es problemático porque hablaba de todo esto del narcotráfico, pero entonces sale esta, que es una idea romántica, como es todas las historias de Disney, de lo que es Colombia, y también es un problema porque entonces es muy romántica, es muy difícil, o sea, sí, uno no
sí.
puede esperar que una película de verdad dé cuenta de todo lo que es un país y que además todo el mundo quede feliz con la película. Siempre va a haber una contraparte que dice, no, es que lástima, le faltó ser más realista, pero es que si es muy realista, ay, lástima, si hubieran ido un poquito más como por algo fantasioso.
Pero
Entonces,
yo hay
muy
veces a la
difícil.
gente que dice ese tipo de cosas, yo siempre digo, oiga, si a usted le hace falta esa historia, pues
Cuéntela.
cuéntela
Sí,
usted.
es verdad.
Esa no es la historia que ellos tenían que contar, esa es la
Sí,
historia que usted quería
sí,
contar
sí,
o que
sí.
usted quiere contar.
Sí, sí, sí.
Vaya y la cuenta, cuéntela,
Sí,
encuentre una manera de contarla, pero... Y además, a nadie le meten por el pescuezo, o sea, a nadie le están obligando a ir a ver cine, a ir a ver cine,
sí.
nadie. A nadie lo obligan, absolutamente a nadie lo obligan a hacer
Que
absolutamente
además la otra
nada.
cosa, también yo creo que mucha gente debería como eh, tener en cuenta cuando hace esos juicios que el target de Disney siempre es una audiencia mucho más pequeña. O sea, son,
Es bueno, pero
o
es
sea,
todo, es papás, o sea, es tanto adultos, honestamente sí, pero,
pero es abierta para todo el mundo, o sea, eso es a lo que
sí,
voy.
sí,
Entonces,
exacto.
todas las historias de Disney son muy románticas por eso. O sea, mi primito de 3 años se ve películas de Disney y personas mucho más grandes se ven películas de Disney y entonces también tienen que ser historias que puedan como eh, ser recibidas por cualquier edad,
Sí.
creo yo. Andrés Gómez dice, coincido con Dani en que la película no podría nunca dar cuenta de toda una cultura, pero en ese sentido está la película Memoria, que a mí en lo personal me parece un gran retrato de Colombia.
Esa no, yo no la conozco
No,
personalmente, pero
tampoco.
no, nos ponemos...
Nos
¿Y es una
ponemos al
película
día.
animada?
No creo. A ver, escribí Memoria. Memoria. Ay, esa fue la que, ay, Coco, la que fue súper famosa, la que se grabó una parte en la Facultad de Artes.
Mm. No,
¿Sí
sí,
sabes?
no, no, no,
La
sí,
de Tilda Swinton.
sí, 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 ya sé cuál es esa, ya.
Sí,
No, 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 o sea, sí, no, no, tampoco queremos generalizar a todo lo que, a lo que es toda Colombia, o sea, por eso estábamos hablando en animación donde normalmente se corre el riesgo como de caricaturizar
sí,
los como o sea, aspectos específicos de una cultura o en especial como el
sí,
folclore de una cultura, que era lo mismo que la gente tenía como un poquito de susto con esa apropiación con que pues sucede la verdad internacionalmente con el Día de los Muertos en México.
sí,
No, si es por Colombia, no, pues hay millones de producciones visuales que le pueden dar a uno un mejor sentido de lo que es nuestro país,
sí,
obviamente,
claro. Lo que pasa es que yo
obviamente,
creo que
pero
igual la intención de esta película, sin habérmela visto, no me he visto ninguna de las dos, pero puedo decir, sin haberme visto ninguna, que la intención de Memoria y la intención de Encanto son completamente
o puedes
opuestas.
creer, o sea, uno pues, si uno no se ha
Pues
visto nada, sí, uno puedo intuir que
puedo intuir,
sí,
perdón, que son como diametralmente opuestas.
sí,
Entonces,
pero nos vamos a poner en la tarea. Yo no me la vi, pongámonos en la
no,
tarea de
toca, toca.
verla, Dani.
Sí. Um, so Callum says, another question. Eh, bueno, no, espera. Y Andrés dijo, sí, era más por mencionar una peli que muestra a Colombia de una forma bella.
No, chévere.
Claro,
Pues
claro, y no la
entonces
vamos a ver.
ponla, no, y ponla ahí para que la gente, que si la gente quiere verse una película,
Voy,
también recomendamos, pues, o no podemos
no,
recomendar
no
nosotros,
recomendamos.
pero Andrés,
Sí,
Andrés nos recomienda, nos recomienda.
pero bueno, espérame porque es que mientras redacto eso me voy a demorar.
Mañana lo
Eh,
pongo.
entonces, Callum said, another question.
Yes.
I've run out of yellow ochre, and the one I had was super greedy, and I didn't like it. Is that the same for all of them?
No, not really. Which brand? Do you mind telling me which brand it was? Maybe that'll give me because I've kind of seen a bunch of brands, so that will give me like a better sense.
Van Sant says, where does your passion for paperbacks come from? There's been a few paperbacks paintings.
Oh, I think they're gorgeous. I mean, it's so chaotic, and the sense of design that you can get from them is it's just it just feels so effortlessly beautiful. I don't think you even have to like try to compose anything. You don't have to. There's not much effort on that you could put on your part to try to make it interesting. It's just kind of is. So I don't know. I just enjoy it. It's one of those things that you paint that you can not like disconnect, not feel like okay, my brain shuts down and I'm just painting. Because it's never really a good idea to do that. But it's one of those things that you can kind of say it's you're almost like going with the current of the river and just painting all these little breaks and form and designs and it's really nice to try and configure something while you're painting it. So yeah, and in fact, saying that, I think I'm going to leave the painting as is, which I think it's a nice moment. Let me see how it looks. Okay, I think it looks nice. Um, and I think the initial intent, which was always to try to imprint this color palette that had a very very strong character in terms of its saturation for sure. I mean, its tinting strength today was something that was absurdly evident. I think that that blue is something that I just don't usually have, is a character of a pigment that I don't usually have in my palette because I feel overwhelmed by it. And if you really think about it, the only color that could ¿cómo se dice? Que le puede hacer como
Competencia
sí.
that could compete
No,
with?
that well, yeah. Let's use compete, but
Overpower,
that's not the
maybe?
word. No, no, no. I was looking for something else, but let's use compete. That could compete with phthalo blue or this Windsor blue is cad red, but I don't feel cad red as overwhelming as this blue. Not at all. Not even close. So it was difficult. It was difficult initially to just say, okay, this is what you are. Let me see what I can do with you. I think I had, like I said, I think I had design issues at the beginning that were far more relevant to my insatisfaction with how the painting was going, uh, and and I didn't really care that much about what was happening with the color because I knew that eventually I could get like a sense of the color. I could start kind of respecting the color for what it was. I kind of left this open yellow area there. I like it. I kind of like it. I think it's really nice. I don't have areas in the painting that feel yellow, so I left that. Even though, I mean, I could have pushed that down a little bit, but I thought that sort of empty space of yellow is nice. And as far as the design and the shapes, the breaks, I like it. It's such a fun opportunity to paint a bag, to just you know go into these all these abstract kind of motions, uh, and just think about edges and breaks and form turning in space. It's just it's really beautiful. I don't know. It's again, it's one of those feelings where you're just kind of lowering your guard and you just give in and you just want to be along there for the ride. So I find great pleasure in doing those things. So yeah, I could paint these bags forever. I feel it's a nice way of surrendering a lot of the control. So I think that essentially that's why I like them. Formally, well, it's just form turning. I mean that kind of sounded redundant, but you know, it's very fundamental painting, and today we had to be extra, mindful of those building blocks of painting, particularly in terms of the color relationships, because it is a strange palette to try to turn into this. If our origin is this, and this, and we realized how powerful that blue is, you're always going to be fighting against the current, trying to execute a painting like this, but it's not impossible. Like, that was our goal at the beginning. And I'm glad that eventually I found enough room to say, okay, my relationships are kind of falling into place, at least in the painting. I always try to look at my painting, and at some point I don't look that much to my reference, because my painting is what is going to end up being. So this is where my effort lies in. My effort does not exist here in relationship to the photo. The photo made a ton of these reflections possible, but the place where I struggled, and the place where I took decisions, and the place where I wanted to try to say things, where I uncovered things, where I also faced my shortcomings, is here. This is the place those things exist. So at some point you have to just let that go, let that other image go, and say this painting has to survive as a painting, and it requires me to start looking at it. So I'm very happy when I can kind of do that. When I feel I'll feed from, I'll kind of feed myself um, from this image. I'll gather information from this image, but this is where that information sort of makes sense. It makes sense, at least for me. So yeah, I'm super happy. At the beginning, I felt overwhelmed. To be honest, I mean, you could sense it in what I was saying. With my, I wasn't satisfied with my drawing. I didn't really know if I was going to be able to adapt to the color. But again, as with everything, you just need to, you know, just slowly but surely, just keep going, and try to construct, not aimlessly, but try to go for things all the time. Hope that the decisions that you make have an effect that you can, gauge other things from. So you have to start seeing how whatever you mix here and put down is affecting the rest of your painting, and from then you move forward and forward and forward. So I don't know. I'm pretty happy. I'm very happy. It was a tough palette to deal with. I mean, it's a condition. It's a struggle that I was gladfully putting myself, into. So I'm totally fine with those things, but became more abstract than what I anticipated it being. But I'm okay with that also. I mean, looking at the screen, I'm fine. That looks and feels like a paperback, so I'm fine with that. So that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow, I have to do my lecture tomorrow. So I haven't decided yet if we're going to be here, because that lecture is like, it's actually at afternoon night. So we would have to do this, but I would have to have everything ready just so that we could finish, and then I set up and I'll be okay for my lecture. So I haven't decided if that's good or if I should just kind of think about the lecture a little bit more. But Danny's saying like, yeah, I should do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that maybe tomorrow we're not here.
But
And maybe if
but
you
Danny, I'm
think,
thinking maybe we are.
or maybe we are, but
Yeah, because
but
maybe
tomorrow, but
okay.
the day after, maybe when you know
Oh, the
how
day
the
after. Yeah,
deal
Friday is
is.
going to be a little more difficult, I feel.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
never
yeah, yeah.
mind.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking. So just keep an eye out for a post that we do on our painted lives on the channel
Yeah,
to see if we're gonna be here,
and on your
and on
Instagram
my
too.
Instagram. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
see one of those stories that has like a little countdown clock, be sure to press that just to remind yourselves that we're gonna be live. But I think we can make it. And I'll feel far more comfortable if I talk a lot, and then I just have to talk a little bit more for the lecture.
Okay.
It just feels like I'm gonna be practicing.
Yeah,
So
you'll be
I'll
warming up.
yeah, I'll feel fine.
Okay.
So okay, so I'll see
Thank
you
you,
guys tomorrow.
everyone.
Thank you. And tomorrow, if we do paint, which I think we are going to, I'm gonna try to keep these three again. So let's see. Today was learning
Yeah.
about them. Tomorrow we're gonna see if we can push them in another direction. We'll see. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.